SoFlo Radio presents
Julio Honeys on Parade, your showcase for trans and gendered Cuban men. Join host Jorge Rodriguez as he welcomes his guests, Miss Liliana,
Hola.
Miss Rolando,
Hi, Papi.
Miss Martez,
Am I not beautiful?
and special guest, Richard Deacon. Julio Honeys on Parade is brought to you by Tux Tuckaway Pads and Precision Circumcision.
He was the greatest piece of ass I've ever had, and I've had him all over the world.
Oh!
My head was spinning like a top. Dog was looking at me, waiting for something. Give him some food, went for a walk. Now we're back and he's still staring. No way to just stop. Excuse me, Las Vegas, I'm in such pain. Can't get up, but falling down again. Vegas, Las Vegas, gonna waste away in your arms. Gonna try my luck, gonna spin the wheel. Yeah, those lights are so beautiful. He was a bad man, yeah, he was a thug. In the midst of my transformation, he pulled out the rug. Took all my winnings and he beat me up. And all I did was ask how much his girlfriend cost. Excuse me, Mr. Vegas, I'm in such a bind. Can't get up for falling down this time. Vegas, Las Vegas, gotta waste away in your arms. Gonna try my luck, gonna spin the wheel. And those lights are so beautiful. Took my last dollar, took a spin. You don't know the shape I'm in. Put all I had out on the line. What do you know, I was a winner this time. Vegas, Las Vegas, gotta waste away in your arms. Gonna try my luck, gonna spin the wheel. Man, those lights are so beautiful. Yeah, Vegas, Las Vegas, I gotta waste away in your arms. Gonna try my luck, gonna spin the wheel. Yeah, those lights are so beautiful. Vegas, Las Vegas, gonna waste away in your arms. Gonna try my luck, gonna spin the wheel. Yeah, those lights are so beautiful. Yeah, those lights are so time coming, I got put in my place. The news of my demise is spreading, Judgment Day. I try and get around it and find my way. Well, we all make mistakes, I believe it'll be okay. Cowboy Jim and his tiger cub here in the jungle with me, and he's making me laugh. We're drinking and feeling the truth will set you free. Well, there are big blue eyes, so right through The wheels of my rebuilding are turning, I got to go grow. Well, if I look you up, put it far behind, 'cause we all should forgive, 'cause we're all gonna die. Cowboy Jim and his tiger cub here in the jungle with me. He's making me laugh, drinking and healing. The truth will set you free. Tired of living inside a bubble where the pain it burns my eyes. Let all the bad feelings die. It's gonna be all alright tonight.
And now I'm on your Facebook. Hey, it's 1207, SoFloRadio.com. We played 2 songs by Jim Camacho, which wasn't exactly part of the plan, but I had to go into this long explanation with a Greek joint across the street, which is going to be providing lunch for all of us, because we have a couple of special guests, and they're both going to be here when they be here. Joe is going to be here on time, but I made him late by making him pick up the alcohol. So there's that. So this show is going to be costing me hundreds and hundreds of dollars in alcohol and Greek food. Hello, Jack. How you doing over there?
Doing awesome.
Good. Thanks for you being here. Or I would have been in this. I would have just kept the what do you call it? The schlogo up there out of embarrassment. I wouldn't have wanted everybody to see that I was in a studio all by myself over here, all lonely.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't like that. Take it back to old school radio.
No, I don't like that at all.
No.
Are you on what color? The white? I'm just checking out
Why
mic colors over here. I haven't run the board in a long.
Why had to be white?
Why do you have to the white mic? Because so you can be special.
Yeah, okay.
Welcome to the show, Billy Corben. I actually got everything done that I needed to do before it was time to talk, which is the important part. We do a lot of broadcast training over here, like we do on the Rick Santee show. I'm training the both producer and the host on the Rick's show on the radio, which you should listen to. That's Thursday at 4:00.
Okay.
Because you were just asking about that. But we're all over the place. It's good that these guys haven't shown up, because I'm going to pay a lot of attention to them when they do.
All right.
Got some stuff to take care of, like all the new programming. We actually have live shows every night, every day.
Tell them about
the week here on SoFlo Radio. You talking about This Is the Spot?
No.
Because that's on tonight.
That's on. Actually, no.
It's not going to be. Well, you're going to run a replay or something like that.
No, we got a Strikers game that night. That time.
You got a Strikers game tonight.
Right.
So we got to. So that's why it's not going to be on tonight.
Yeah, that's why the spot's not going to be the spot. The stop.
This is the spot.
This is the spot.
The spot
Yeah.
is Jack's show, but we have on Thursday, because I want to talk about it because it's a new show and it's in development. Mm-hmm. So if you want to see people pass out and swallow their tongue and set the place on fire while they're working it out, that's Rick's show on the radio. Well, it's really rich with content. See, he's got a great Rolodex. I like all these people that have big Rolodexes.
There is Rick's show.
And that explains the Jim Camacho music that we're playing today.
Yes. The songwriters in the round.
Yeah, if you can. I would have to turn my head to read it, but you can. Luna Star Cafe.
75.
Luna
Star Cafe, 775 Northeast 125th Street in North Miami, Florida.
Right, and you don't have to read the rest of it because it starts at 8. Doors open at 8 o'clock. I go there, or at least I haven't been there in a while. Alexis, really nice lady that runs the place, and is one of the places where a lot of local musicians play, especially the folky kind. But Jim Camacho was on the show yesterday, just explaining that. He was the musical guest of Rick's show on the radio at 4 o'clock yesterday. That video is up on YouTube if you want to check it out. The audio is loaded. Just go to SoFloRadio.com, click on his logo, and then you can get to all the content. Which is where mine is right now, because we got hacked and all our websites got crashed, and I still don't have my personal page back up because I've been busy getting everybody else's up, and that doesn't sound gay at all, does it?
No.
So welcome to the show, Jack Charles. Jack Frost.
I was going to talk about the other show that I just recently saw on the website, Talking Left or something like that.
Well, they finally got a box. They've been on for a long time. Talking Left is one of our political shows. They are cohorts of Nicole Sandler. At least I met them through her. We go to similar functions and comedy shows and things, and they contribute to each other. Shane has filled in. Shano has filled in for Nicole, and they're left of center, and obviously, as the name would imply, political show, and it's a 3-hour show, and it's well crafted and well thought out. And they're out of Washington D.C., but they used to live here, and they trip back and forth. So technically speaking, they still fit the whole local concept. Are still still the only real non-local entity that we have is our exchange student Daryl. And I love Daryl. And Daryl still has a local connection because he's a big fan of, he was a big Neely. He was a big Phil Hendry fan. He talks about them both all the time, references them all the time. He learned a lot. Sir Daryl, Sir Daryl radio experience. And he's also friends and cohorts with Radio Dan, who does live here. He's a Boca boy. And they are on each other's network. So they trade barbs and talk about each other all the time. So it's part of the same extended soap opera family.
Right.
Although, honestly, Daryl is a placeholder. And then his real function up until recently is he was the token.
Yeah.
But now that we have you, we don't have to have Daryl on anymore. I mean, you could fill that role. You could fill the EEOP requirement, which, of course, we don't have here. I'm just concerned with imagery because, after all, this is in Ferguson, Missouri, for the love of God.
Good God, Mom, the niggers are here.
For a lot of reasons. Oh, you want to start?
Yeah,
you want to start with that? Well, I guess I did. I invoked the name Ferguson. You want to explain, because it sounds better when you explain it than when I explain it, the piece that you posted, Why I'm Not Marching in Ferguson.
Right.
Sum that up, because I'm not going to. Jack posted something. It was mentally compelling. It was a perspective, a different kind of perspective. And rather than read the article, why don't you hit the highlights of it? Just the points of what the article was all about, and and share your feelings on that matter as the station, at least in-house token entity over here. Well, I'm the Spick. I mean, it's Big Rodriguez over here.
Yeah, it's an equal opportunity.
And we got a couple of crackers coming in, so before they show up and hog the spotlight, and they will. Why don't you share on that whole thing? Because everybody's got something to say about it. I do, because I post anti-police stuff all the time, and I shouldn't put it that way. I post anti-police brutality or anti-police overstepping their bounds. I'm very pro-police.
Right.
Pro-police doing their job. We need police. Police ought to be very well paid, well trained, well equipped, and well behaved, because they're my employees. Is my whole take on that, and I'll go into that more when the crackers show up. Exactly. So explain the piece that you posted, what it means, and why you agree with that.
Well, I don't want to try to make it a situation where I'm speaking on behalf of all black people.
Why not? Jesse Jackson does.
Well, yeah. Well, that's another.
You could be making Jesse Jackson money.
Yeah.
By speaking for all the black people.
But unfortunately, I don't.
But you don't.
But here's the thing about the post I had. And I put a lot of them up, but this one in particular, I felt that, marching and doing all these things, that was very proactive in the 60s. And, it wasn't done before. Now, you look at a person like myself, I'm in my early 30s, and I've had enough retention of all this stuff that has happened before me to prove to me that this is not going to prove anything. Marching and standing in front of law enforcement and yelling at them and telling them that it isn't right isn't going to change anything. What's going to change is a recognition by our fairer-skinned people, especially people who are in positions of power, to point out that, okay, this is not right. The same way that we could sit up here and get red in the face about a dog fighting being wrong. A human being got killed. This was no different in deer hunting, in my estimation of the situation.
Are you're saying that the cops go out there and hunt for black people, or just people in general?
Yeah, but nigger killers.
Okay, but so you don't believe that the protesting is the thing to do? What then do you believe is the thing to do? What ought people to do? And we'll start because first of all, if what should the people of color do? Because the other people, you got to get them to care first of all. Mm-hmm. You got to get people of other colors or no color, genericans as I call them, to care about someone other than themselves, and that's a different task. All right, what should the people who already do care?
Well,
what should they do as opposed to marching?
That's the thing. That's the thing. There is nothing more to do. And the problem is that things will only escalate more because we're only, a year and some change away from the whole Trayvon thing?
Right.
And the reaction, remember, this happened.
That solved everything, though. He got shot, and
certainly.
everybody saw that it was that there was a horrible thing. Well, I mean, he was he wasn't even a security guard. He didn't qualify to have a security guard. He had no licensing whatsoever.
I guess because he got shot by someone of ethnicity, that made it.
Oh, weird ethnicity.
Yeah.
Hispanic Jew.
Right. But this is the thing that I'm seeing here, like with the situation that happened with Michael Brown. That happened on a Saturday. The looting and the rioting happened,
which by the way,
immediately.
Here's because I have all kinds of Facebook friends, and I wanted to talk about maybe changing the way that we communicate so that we can come to a civil discourse about policy here in America. Because this on the heels of my trip to Montana, I brought some visual aids, by the way. I still haven't gotten my souvenir cozy, which
you've been busy.
That'd be extra funny when you having a camo cozy with a picture of an elk on it. It says Montana. Yeah. I think there's an element of humor there.
Yeah, they probably thought I stole it from a white person.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they think about your watch.
Yeah.
That's what they think about your. Jack has an iPhone. I would just like everyone to know that Jack Charles, right over here, has an iPhone.
Yeah.
It's cracked.
The crack app.
It's cracked like you would expect it to be.
Yeah. Typical.
Right, because he doesn't take care of anything like his neighborhood.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
Nigger.
My whole thing, and again, I'm like right off the heels of my trip to Montana, I'm doing a lot of channeling because my brethren there, they post things that, shall we say, are Fox News sympathetic. Like the pictures that they're posting are pictures of looters. And the caption on their memes, because we don't have the same Facebook friends.
Right.
Probably we have we have a lot of mutual friends, but they're people from down here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we don't have Montana friends in common.
Okay.
So they're posting things that are making the rounds in their circles. And it's what the memes that they're posting, because the memes that I post and I share are like the lady holding up the mirror to the riot police.
I like
and she's
that
like a
one.
Russian lady wearing a babushka, on her head. Right. Those are the things that I post is anti-police state kind of stuff.
Right.
Which is funny because those are the kind of things they post when it comes to Bundy Ranch. Rich white guy getting oppressed by the police. Rich white tax dodger getting oppressed by the police. That's one thing.
Right.
And I don't know is that the food or Billy Corben?
That's Billy Corben.
Excellent. Well, he can come over here and sit right next to me. I warmed the chair up.
The world-renowned Billy
Corben. So, but what they're posting, I'm talking about, of course, got right into the Michael Brown thing. What they're posting is pictures of the rioters and the looters, and with captions saying, "Now, how does this help? How does this help? And indeed, how does it help?" And because we were just talking, because in case you haven't noticed, Jack over here is a person of color.
Yeah.
So
until you mentioned it, I hadn't.
You hadn't, and you probably wouldn't because he passes for white all the time.
Yeah.
I do too,
every time.
Occasionally, I do.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't hear you as much as I want to.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Should I do all those jokes, all the good material
that I came armed with?
Yeah, there you go. We're totally here. Let me do this.
There you go.
That's why I'm getting confused.
What happened?
Wrong mic.
I thought this was the seat you were keeping warm for
Wrong
me.
mic setup.
Musical mics over here because I couldn't hear a damn thing that you're saying. Now it's all better. Now I can.
Well, we were talking about how I'm black.
There's so many people, and we're going to get into this later because welcome to the new studios. First of all,
it's beautiful.
And then
Thank you.
We'll get into how black you are. We'll get into your blackness.
Everybody was concerned I would go Hollywood, and here I am.
Yeah, in Hollywood.
Here you are. Well, you're going to be. You're going to be Mr. Hollywood one of these days.
Mr. Hollywood, Florida. I love walking down the street here in Hollywood. First of all, a guy like you could get in a lot of trouble in a neighborhood like this, George. And I'm walking down the street, got the salsa music coming out of a tinny speaker, and there's just a bunch of dudes. What time is it? It's noon. On a Friday.
Yeah.
A school day.
A sweltering
and
Friday.
Just a bunch of dudes just chilling at this bar.
Yeah.
This kind of, half indoor, half outdoor kind
Right
of bar.
next to the
That's the
pawn
vibe.
shop.
Everything in Hollywood is half indoor and half outdoor.
It's true. Is that why you're half naked right now?
The lower half.
Yeah.
Not this table.
No bottom.
I can't hear myself. Am I actually on the air?
You're on. I can hear you. Barely.
I don't believe it. I don't think my microphone has been working since. There we go.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of the show.
I should welcome you to the new studio then.
Good. Well, the show didn't really start until you showed up.
Oh,
and
it still hasn't.
We just had the
actually
Jack Charles perspective. Thank you. This is Billy Corben's second official appearance on the George Rodriguez show, because you've been on the phone and this and that. You're on the Larry Amigo show.
I was in your home.
You were what is now my home. At the
Right.
time, it was kind of a man cave studio thing. That place, which was a wonderful kitschy place that we all love, had an evolution. It started out as my divorce apartment for the divorce that I didn't get until many years later. She talked me out of the divorce, but not out of the apartment. All right, so that became the man cave, and I sublet it. And my brother lived there for a while. Then he died, and it became kind of a computer graveyard and storage for my crap and other friends. So we had the raw ingredients of the internet radio station when it came time to do that.
It was great.
And so I still didn't live there at the time that you visited. I still had my official home was somewhere else. I was just
But
there
there was a bed,
lot.
and I recall there being chains on the corners
Yeah,
of the bed.
well,
it was
again-
difficult for me to speak on your show with the ball gag
Let me
in my
rephrase
mouth.
that. I lived there, but
your home?
but I didn't. Right, I did not spend my night. Well, that wasn't my place of residence. How's that?
That's a good
It was
way to
my
put it, yeah.
my place of life, of living, of joie de vivre. Sure, and now that I reside there, all that fun is over. I'm kidding. That was sarcasm.
I didn't want to derail the serious conversation
We're
y'all
gonna.
were having.
Joe
before
Castello
I
will
came
be
in.
here, by the way. I don't know if you've ever met Joe Castello. You were similar characters, so we'll get really serious when he gets here.
Okay.
And also, he's bringing the alcohol. So,
That helps.
so
can
back to
blame it
what
on that.
back to what you were saying.
What was I saying?
You
I don't-
passed
that
as
I'm
black.
black.
That
Yeah.
you're black.
okay,
Well,
sure.
I was just going to give you the studio evolution, but we outgrew that place. Respectable people started doing radio shows at that studio.
Right. That was
and
the
they started booking
problem.
people with like names and
Limousines.
titles, and limousines would pull up into that gravel mud covered parking lot, and people would get out going, where am I? What am I doing here? And people started making what I thought were funny jokes about asking directions from the crack dealer on the corner. And I go, oh, hey, that's Bernie. You know. And then Sud said, I had a knife fight in the parking lot
You had
before
a
I
knife
got
fight?
here, and I go, these are what my guest would say, and I go, oh, that was just security.
Yeah.
So
Just welcoming you.
but we had to get these plush digs, small as they are, because people with names wanted to impress their guests, and we were unimpressing them at that location. So
Well,
we had to evolve. And now
you're much safer
now
here
that I'm
than-
divorced and I live there. Maybe you
talked her back into it.
There was gunplay in the lobby before.
You
no.
talked her back into the divorce. She talked you out of it.
Well, I talked a judge into the divorce.
Yeah.
Florida's a no-fault state, which is a bastard of a thing.
Yeah,
You've
we're
never
working on
been
that.
married?
no, that's all your problem.
Good. No, don't ever do it. Don't get married until you're ready to stop doing everything you like. That's a George motto. Quote me on that.
I don't know that it stopped you.
Write that
Here
down.
we are.
It did. Well, I'm getting back into my life, and now welcome to these studios.
Thank you.
These wonderful plush digs.
You're much safer
The
here
rooms
in
are a little
Hollywood,
small.
Florida.
Well, I saw gunplay in the lobby. They were arresting some.
Yeah, that's on
I don't want to say
your
what color
Facebook.
the guy was because I don't want Jack to think that I'm prejudiced.
Yeah.
Or anything like that.
I
but
don't
he was-
think it's hard to figure out, though.
there was some black on black crime
See,
going
I
on
was
in
just
the
thinking
lobby.
about this. Like, I'm. Spoiler alert. I'm a little white dude.
Really?
And so
Yeah,
I
we both
don't.
are. This is the little white dude show and Jack because Joe
Yeah.
Castello is also.
But my life experience is like completely different. Like I have no idea what it's like. You were just about to describe the suspect that the police took down in the lobby following some gunplay.
How about I just show you
But,
his picture?
I don't
It's like-
know what it's like to walk down the street and just by virtue of walking down the street having like people look at you sideways, particularly the authorities. I don't know what it feels like to
Right.
quote
We
match the
we
description
square
of the
no
majority
one.
of suspects that police are looking for and
We scare no one. Fourth grade girls, they don't
Right.
scare. We don't scare them.
But like,
Yeah.
but what's really disturbing through all of this, and it comes out with the Twitter trolls, and it comes out. There's unfortunately. There's a lot of high-profile cases that happen where this all kind of comes to bear, and it's extraordinary how little empathy people who can't relate to that. Like I said, I admit I can't relate to that experience,
Right.
but I sympathize and I empathize with it because I'm self-aware enough to know that I don't have that experience, so I can't exactly say what. And I remember the last time, of course, I hate to bring it up, we don't have to talk about it, but it was the Trayvon Martin incident, of course, the George Zimmerman verdict, and I tweeted at that time. I was like, the trolls were out, on Twitter.
Right.
And
Sure.
I tweeted, I said, it's all good if you unfollow me for my Trayvon tweets, if Zimmerman had unfollowed Trayvon, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Oh, that's the
You know what? You're
Billy's
all
good
right.
with-
You're
Billy's
all right,
good with
Corbin.
quips.
I think it's a reason why I always did with
I
Billy
brought my
Corben.
I brought my Montana literature. I wish I'd brought
That-
some souvenirs because I just came
Couldn't get
back from my
anything more
a
racist?
trip.
Is that the problem?
Well, you know,
Montana literature?
I have to explain. I have to
this is
because
a
I
nice
used to live
segue.
here. I used to live here, and I have to explain. Montana. I have to explain both places to each other. The people of Montana and Miami or South Florida, I have to explain them to each other all the time because there's a great deal of two-way ignorance when it comes to the people about the people of the other place over there. And the racism there is a very innocent racism, not unlike. It's very optional. We're not going to take any phone calls. We're all in the same room. If you want to, I'm the only person that needs to be wearing headphones. It's just
Okay.
Well, what is an innocent racism? It's like
Like-
that's like accidental racist, like that.
Yeah.
so-
Ooh,
you know,
like-
that
I shot
song?
you.
like out of
6
ignorance,
times.
like they really have no idea. And I was all locked and loaded with comebacks and barbs and quips because I was expecting to encounter racism, even though I very rarely did when I lived there. That's kind of an Idaho thing. There's a reason that there are state
Because your
lines.
last name ends in a Z? Is that why
Yeah,
you
well-
anticipated racism?
Well, no, because I used to live there, so I'm very used to it. And in a place that is so homogenous, being different is not a bad thing. It makes you very
Exotic.
very exotic, and people ask you all kinds of questions, and they're very curious because they really don't know. So when you hear something ignorant,
What do beans taste like with rice?
yeah, they
And
really-
then when you add chicken, what is that
Sure.
like?
Yeah, they
Jorge.
see they don't know that. They don't know that. They don't know that. They don't know to make that
Jorge.
kind
Am
of a
I
joke.
pronouncing that right?
They only
Is that
know.
your name?
Well, first, they don't have a
That's your
twang.
whole name?
That's,
They don't.
that's
They don't. You're
Appalachia.
right.
And
I'm
second
being-
of all,
I'm being racist.
They know.
I'm being
Mon-
ignorant.
Yeah,
you're being
reverse
Montana-
racist.
This is the exact
There's
point.
such
They
thing.
know what they've seen on television. Do you understand? So I was ready with this comeback. If somebody would have said something about black people, I was ready to say, what can you possibly know? What do you possibly know? But it didn't come up. You see, it comes up as often as a problem with people from Alpha Centauri. You understand? It just because they're not there, it's a non-issue.
I honestly think you went too early. If you would have went last week,
Again,
then it would have been.
they would have been commenting about something they see on TV. For example, and you're a film guy, I recently saw The Guardians of the Galaxy. And there were people of different races in this movie. Like the tree
Intergalactic
guy and
races.
Right.
green people
Yeah.
and everything
Rock
like that.
people.
And so if you ask somebody...
Tree people.
Yeah.
If you ask somebody on the street here in Hollywood, just on the way up here, hey, what's your opinion of the Alpha Centaurans? What do you think about?
That's gonna end in
What do you think about
gunplay.
green
I wouldn't
people?
do
They'd
that. I would just walk
what
up to
the
some
hell
guy.
are you talking
I'm
about?
not about that
goober?
life.
I don't have an opinion. They're not around.
Right.
That's what we see on TV. The people in Montana know as much about black people as we know about the Alpha Centaurians. It's what I saw on that movie, The Cree. There they go. They're blue people. They're called the Cree. You saw the movie, right?
didn't, no.
Oh, anyway, well, they got blue people.
Well-
And they're called Cree. That's their race. All right. So you ask someone in Hollywood, Florida, so what's your take on the Cree? And they go, well, according to Guardians of the Galaxy, which I just saw on a screen, I believe that the Cree have potential, yet they're very warlike and judgmental. And and they would have that opinion because they saw a stupid movie.
Right.
Okay. The same thing. The people in Montana, whatever opinion they have about black people, they have from what the TV has told them.
Okay.
And if you want to blame their opinion, blame the media's portrayal.
Right.
In their particular case, blame the media's portrayal because that's all they got, buddy.
Right.
They never met one in real life,
Yeah.
up close and personal, to be able to have an opinion other than that. That's what I mean by ignorant racism.
At the moment,
Okay.
the media happens to be doing a surprisingly and uncharacteristically good job, I think, of depicting what's going on in Ferguson, that experience. I think it took them some time to come around. Of course, you still got Fox News,
Right.
who's doing its thing, but that's
Sure.
not a surprise.
We all know
obviously,
about their
but-
agenda.
But I don't know. I think the media actually has kind of come around to this. I mean, you see Jake Tapper wandering around the streets going, here's a bunch of peaceful protesters over here. And then whip around, it's like Basra over here.
Right.
It doesn't,
Sure.
he goes, these two things just do not compute. There's no reason for this kind of
Jack,
militarized response.
what's the deal with your people and the opportunistic looting, buddy? Please explain
Oh,
for
come on.
every-
First, I'm sorry.
Did you hear
I'm
my
sorry.
Did you hear
I'm
my
sorry.
quip? Did
Hang
you hear
on.
my quote?
This reminded me. I wanted
It's
you
a good deal on weaves.
I wanted you to finish. I wanted you to finish your Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah.
as a racism metaphor because that's classic radio. So, but I forgot where I was going. You would mention a comment earlier that someone says like, "What's this going to accomplish?" Right? You were saying
Sure, the
looting,
memes that the other people
what
are
was it?
posting.
Yeah, so
Right.
what was it again?
Yeah. How does this help? They were showing pictures of looting,
Right.
and the caption was, "How is this? How does this help?"
Let me answer that question.
No.
the media is there actually covering it. I'm not a no justice, no peace guy. I believe in the system and all that crap.
Right.
I don't believe in pitchforks and torches and all that kind, and charging City Hall and all that. I believe in working the system. I'm also a little white guy with a Twitter following that when I speak truth to power, which is just code word for trolling, I get responses from people in government. I do that. I can't imagine that young black people have the same experience that I have.
No, far from it.
Obviously, so my point is that, truth be told,
they have a lot of sex. Young black people, for example, that's how their experiences are different from mine.
I don't want to justify the looting, but since that troll asked that question, what does this accomplish? Turn on the TV. It's on television. Eric Holder made it very interesting. I have to respectfully disagree with him, but he ordered a third autopsy of Michael Brown's body because quote, by the feds. There was an autopsy by the county.
There was another one from the one in New York.
Yeah, there was the family. The family, I think, had a private autopsy, and now as we know, for the last week plus, the feds have been investigating. So he ordered a third autopsy that the feds would be performing. The FBI lab, I think, would be performing, and he said because of, quote, the extraordinary circumstances. I respectfully disagree. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anything extraordinary about this Michael Brown Ferguson situation. No. The difference is, what's extraordinary is people, including the black Attorney General of the United States of America and the black President of the United States of America, are actually paying attention to something that's going on in a small town. So, by the way, that's what the looting and the violence has accomplished. And I hate to say that it's accomplished anything, but unfortunately in this country, especially people in disenfranchised communities and underserved communities, cannot get the attention of authorities without that, unfortunately.
Before you got here, the conversation me and George was having was the Facebook post I put up in regards to why I'm not marching or why I'm not for marching. We've become a Twitter-based, social media-based, bandwagon-based society where, hashtag Ferguson, hashtag Michael Brown. And same thing when we did the same thing for Sandy Hook and Trayvon Martin.
Yes.
That's what we are. We've become a sensationalized society where, a couple months from now when this guy's possibly acquitted, we're not thinking about that anymore. And that's where
I know. I think it's when the regular NFL season begins. Yeah, so I think it's only I think there's only seriously. If we weren't in preseason, no one would care about this. Right. I mean, it's sickening, but it's probably true.
Yeah. And that's to bring it all home with what you were talking about, George, with the Facebook post. There really isn't a point behind doing all this because, I'm 33. We're around the same age.
Yeah, 36.
And as far as the depth, I'm a black guy, and you're a white guy. That's clear.
It's true. We established that.
We established that. We did.
Yeah. Joe Castello is going to be the designated Italian.
I'm the spot. I'm the spot.
Yeah.
All right. You have the situation where, we're not gravitating, or we're marching is really going to make a profound change. Like you said, it takes looting or something to that nature. Like, oh my God, what are they doing over there in America? Because it's not just us. Because we've done this before.
Dude, it's not just us. Staten Island, that guy was just choked to death by NYPD. LAPD just tasered.
I post that stuff all the time.
Killed a guy. I mean,
they're out of control.
It's not extraordinary. It's not extraordinary, unfortunately. But where I'll disagree with you is in terms of the change it could possibly instigate. And I don't think Twitter is entirely ineffective either as a place to kind of gather or express your First Amendment rights either. I just think that there needs to be an outlet that leads to actual reform. Where I will agree with you is I think historically and statistically, the likelihood of this officer being indicted is very slim. And further, if he does, the likelihood of him being convicted is then even slimmer, I think. So I ask myself that what's the end game here? Right. It's the same question you're essentially asking.
Yeah, I'm.
What's the point?
Yeah, that's really where I'm at. I can't speak for like I told George, I can't speak for my whole race. But I know from what I've experienced in my lifetime, I haven't seen anything to where these particular actions are going to lead to some form of change.
Well, I'll tell you what's happening, and it's because of the violence. It's because of I've been tweeting about stories on the over militarization of police departments. It's not just police. My focus on Twitter is aggregating stories about public corruption and abuse of power. Because here's what I think, and this is what happens. Even when I see on Fox News, they have a couple black dudes going, "Well, what about black on black violence? Statistically, only 2% of black people who are murdered every year are by cops. The other 90, we should be talking about the other 98%. It's like, well, wait a second, hang on. There's a certain percentage, we know this in a society, of criminals.
Right.
People who are prone to violence, to breaking the law. Unfortunately, it's a reality. We also have an extraordinary amount of resources that we dedicate in this country to fighting crime. On law enforcement agencies, on the criminal court system, on jails. Okay,
it's a math thing.
But here's the problem. When law enforcement officers or people in power or public officials or bureaucrats or presidents or whomever, when they break the law, that's much more corrosive and damaging to society because that breaks the social contract. They're not supposed to.
That's exactly the point. There are employees.
And there's no accountability.
That's
the problem. Okay, so if you can eliminate that 2% of unarmed black men that are killed every year by law enforcement officers, isn't that something you should want to do?
Here's a factoid. Here's a factoid.
One has nothing to do with the other.
Sure,
first of all,
it's a total.
These are civil servants who swore an oath. They're my employees. First of all, so I have a right to say something about it. The cops, they're my employees.
Really?
They're civil servants. They're public servants.
I know.
They swore an oath to protect and serve me, Mr. Sarcastic. But that's the focus has totally shifted. It's like all of the attention and all of the effort seems to be placed on the safety of the police officer. When last time I checked, you're volunteering for a dangerous job and being equipped to deal.
By the way, it's a crappy job, and I wouldn't want to do it. But I will say this:
but it's voluntary.
It's actually far safer than a lot of other jobs. It's certainly far safer than being a citizen. I mean, 400 people are killed. 400 people are killed a year by police officers, many of them unarmed, and almost all of them are ultimately found after an investigation to be justifiable homicides. That is like a statistical impossibility. That's like saying the police are infallible. They're not human. They never make mistakes. Humans make mistakes.
And you shouldn't be allowed to make that kind of a mistake.
Right. If you are charged with this, what does Uncle Ben say? With great power comes great responsibility.
That is what he said.
So
and he made a great rice.
This is the.
I thought you were talking about the rice.
I know you both were.
No, Spider-Man.
That's why.
Spider-Man.
I was thinking about Spider-Man.
I was like Uncle Ben, and then as you went along, I picked
Uncle Ben was a wise man.
But here's a quick factoid as you talk about law enforcement. Miami's smallest police force has gotten M16s, armored cars, and grenade launchers
all of them
from the military.
Well, this is part of a larger...
Miami Gardens.
Miami
Gardens recently got this.
Well, Miami Gardens is important because Miami Gardens actually has a documented systematic... has a documented system of violating the civil rights of every single black male that passes through the city. Yeah, that's documented. The stop and frisk.
Well, that's how they keep their property value up.
That's
definitely.
This is what's extraordinary. And here's a problem with you want to have a real conversation. This goes back to me. This goes back to the public sector again. Look at the leadership in these communities. Mm-hmm. Okay, look at Oliver Gilbert, the mayor of Miami Gardens, who I think is the worst unindicted mayor in Miami-Dade right now. Look at the Barbara Jordan. Look at the folks who are supposed to represent these people on the ground. When I say these people, I mean the citizens of Miami Gardens. The vast majority of the police department there, they don't even live in Miami Gardens. They have nothing invested.
Some of them are from Nebraska, as I heard. I mean, because I'm from the area, and I've had people who have gone to Miami-Dade, gone to the police academy there, and weren't even considered. You had a lot of out-of-towners from Nebraska, Montana, Georgia, and you have.
What?
Yeah,
it's a big state.
Yeah,
a lot of people. Yeah, different kind of people there.
And they need nigger killers too.
Well, that's again
friskers.
Idaho.
By the way, just for the record, that was the black guy that said that.
Yeah.
I think we should.
We're on camera. They can see.
Oh, good. All right.
That's why Jack's on the show. It's a little trick I learned from Howard Stern. Have a black person on the show. You can be racist.
What's the best thing that Oscar Brandon and Oliver Gilbert and Barbara Jordan can think of to help their constituents whose civil rights are being systematically violated as a matter of policy by the Miami Gardens Police Department? Give billionaire Stephen Ross hundreds of millions of dollars in public money.
Oh, man. Hey,
that's the best solution that they can come up with for their people.
That stadium is going to be
good for everyone.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, but this is the best.
I'll never be able to go, but
this is
awesome.
You can afford it. Nobody can afford it. Who lives in Miami Gardens?
Miami Gardens, right.
But this is the best thing. Your politicians, the people you elect to represent your best interest in the community. This is the best thing they can come up with to help reform, to help restore the civil rights. These unquestionably are civil rights violations that should lead to arrests.
Well, you know what I did? That was
they don't arrest anybody. They just stop and frisk everybody.
You know what I did? That was very South Florida of me. I went back to my Haitian roots, and collided with my Cuban friends, and I exited. I went on an exodus. I left Miami Gardens, and I'm currently a resident of Hollywood because it just got to a point now where I can't even go around the corner in Miami Gardens and not. Well, you had a broken tail light. No, I didn't. You had a vanity plate on there. You're not supposed to have. I didn't know that.
I've been pulled over for the broken taillight.
And that's because you're black.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well, because I was in a black neighborhood.
You like black women.
Shining a flashlight on cars during my repo days. Yeah. They don't like me.
Meanwhile, Sweetwater, city of Sweetwater has a tank. They got a tank from the
the militarization, obviously, because part of the bigger thing, because you're a very socially conscious guy, our military budget is so bloated. It's more than what the next 21 nations' budgets combined, the next closest ones. And our military budget is so bloated that the Pentagon has so much surplus crap that they're just giving it away. Here's a tank. Here, and they're doing it all over the
town of 5,000 people to protect their annual pumpkin fair.
Yeah.
Or pumpkin festival.
You know, Bill Maher pointed out, violent crime is down like 40%, in the past 10 years. And that's a good thing.
But I think SWAT team raids are up like 1,000%
are way up.
in the last 20 years.
So what are we even talking about over here? Obviously, this is not. We're not addressing a problem. All of this militaria isn't coming as a response to a problem. It isn't being requested. It isn't like, these small towns are being overrun by zombies. Right. They need a tank. Yeah. It's just surplus.
In Tampa earlier this year, a SWAT team raided a house and killed a guy who thought that he was being robbed. He didn't know what was going on because all of a sudden they could have knocked on the door, but they had these no-knock warrants. They knocked the door down. They're screaming. There's guns. He got shot and killed. They found $2 worth of pot in his home, and the police the police investigate the police. They found that this was all by the book. And I say, if that's by the book, don't you need to rewrite the book?
Indeed.
Like, isn't that what needs to? The flash bomb that went off in that baby's crib and blew the baby's face off.
Right.
But that was proper.
Wow. That's proper.
That's by the book.
Sure.
Wait a second. What is this fucking book? I want what is?
Well, it is the cycle. It is the way that we've been doing things in America. Now that I have the advantage of perspective, which means I'm old enough. Yeah. Which means I'm old. I'm old enough to see the things that I remember them bitching about when I was a little kid growing up in the early 70s, when I don't know what age you started tuning in on the conversations that the adults were having. You're sitting there playing with cars and all of a sudden stuff starts filtering in. Yeah. The people that were talking around me were still protesting the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War was breaking. They were just breaking through. So what was on the news and the angry rhetoric that I remember waking up into was the Vietnam War protest rhetoric. And all of a sudden I started hearing it again and then with the Iraq thing, and here we go, and now all of a sudden here we go again, like the just because you're a news guy, you're a news hound like no one else I know, Billy Corben. So you must be plugged in like cybernetically. Your fingertips must be with all these news sources, because you post things way faster than anybody else. You scoop everybody on your Twitter and your Facebook.
Whether it's local or abroad, I mean, stuff that you come up with. But the thing is,
ISIS, a chilling warning from ISIS. Now they beheaded that guy, so now we have to go back in again. And so you start getting tired of all this rhetoric. And like Frank Zappa said, and I keep quoting this on every show, because things that I used to laugh off, things I used to snort or chortle at, now all of a sudden are echoing in my head. And Frank Zappa said, politics is the entertainment division of the military-industrial complex. And the words, of Thomas Jefferson about the moneyed corporations, and even those sci-fi magazines from my youth, like 1984, with all the dystopic futures and all those, really, to me, they were entertainment. As a child, as a teenager, those sci-fi movies, the magazines that my brothers would buy and stepbrothers of these dark futures and totalitarian futures, that was entertainment. And I'd read that and go, oh, ha ha ha, this is some wonderful writing over here.
Yeah,
reading Animal Farm and reading and seeing
Dwight
all
D. Eisenhower, the president of the United States.
He was
warned about it in his. Yeah. He was peacing out. He was like, "I'm out of here."
Yeah, letters back there.
Yeah, the
actual letter.
The famous military-industrial complex speech. He put that into the lexicon.
And nobody listened. No, nobody, because
everybody listened. But what the hell can we do about it?
I think we've been like rocked into this cradle of bullshit. Like what you were saying about the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Cradle of Bullshit. That was the name of my band
your
in high
punk
school.
band.
Oh yeah,
Cradle of Bullshit. Yeah.
See, you guys are prophetic.
I think I got your EP.
You guys are prophetic with that. But the thing is that us here in America, it took something in our lifetime like 9/11 to like really rock us, or OJ or something like that, where a lot of us are fed this Hollywood fantasy of what things could look like, Minority Report or whatever, but we never really.
It wasn't about black people.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't.
Just because we're talking.
Yeah, whatever. But the the thing that you see here is that
because I went to the movie
to watch it,
I thinking it was going to be about black people because I watch all the black movies.
Minority Report.
Yeah,
I got the bootleg, so
it was horrible. What I wish the movie had been would have been better than what the movie was.
By the way, the Alfred Hitchcock movie Blackmail is also not about black people.
No,
just so you know.
A blackmail. I thought it was a porno by
No.
Anyway, but
that's all of them.
Yeah.
All the pornos.
But the thing is that you guys, in talking to you, you guys look at the human situation, good, bad, or indifferent. It's not a thing of, well, he's black or he's Hispanic. I got to think twice about it. Like, no, does it make sense? And that's what some of these actions that you're saying with what's happening in Ferguson, people are looking at it more from what it universally it is wrong.
Well, since 1961, since Dwight Eisenhower's military-industrial complex warning speech, the pendulum has been swinging for 50 plus years. The pendulum has been swinging towards more, higher budgets for the military, higher budgets for police. That's
crazy.
More equipment, more, and then 9/11 expedited that because you had the Patriot Act. You had all of a sudden the nation responsible for some of the worst bureaucracies ever, the IRS, etc. We created the worst bureaucracy. Created the worst bureaucracy since 9/11. The TSA, the Department of Homeland Security.
Oh, they're horrible. I got
useless.
Yet another story this morning because I watch the news every morning. It's part of my coffee routine. And the story this morning, the TSA story, is that the scanners that they were previously using, they've got the new ones now, but now that they're not using those anymore, we can tell you that they do see your giblets, but they don't see guns. Perfect. Wonderful. So all the little pictures that they were sharing and exchanging, that's all they were accomplishing.
The TSA
at
situation,
our
the TSA is completely.
This was a make work. Here, sir.
Nice. This was a make work program. This was whoever got the contract for those inane nudie scanners. That's what the TSA was really about. Was buying
the whole thing,
these
and I'm going
to
go into this point that we can ponder during the break while we grab a bunch of this Greek food from across the street from the Greek joint. I don't even remember what the hell.
Well, I do want to leave on a positive note though before we break. And
I
would
say
that
okay, good.
I think what's happening and the upside of the Ferguson situation, if there's anything that's going to be accomplished, it might not be an indictment of the officer. It might not be a conviction of the officer. By the way, I don't know that either of those things would be just because I don't have all the facts just yet.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is there's never accountability for these situations. In Miami, we saw 7 unarmed black men killed by police in like a year. And nobody did anything. Nobody lifted a finger. Nobody. The Justice Department came down here, did an investigation, and found that it was outrageous. That the amount of time they spent investigating these things is gratuitous. They even found that at least 3 of the 33 shootings that the state attorney's office in Miami-Dade investigated, they found improperly that the shootings were justified. Okay, the state attorney's office in Miami-Dade County has. The current state attorney, Catherine Fernandez-Rundle. She is the first state attorney.
How long is she gonna hold that title?
She's the first state attorney, since the Clinton administration. Since Janet Reno left for the Clinton administration, the attorney general, she has never once prosecuted a police officer for an on-duty shooting, despite the proliferation of these. By the way, I'm not saying that there should be any kind of mandate or there should be any kind of, thing where you're like, oh, there you have
quota.
Quota, exactly.
Right.
But that's statistically impossible. That 100% of these shootings are justified. It's absolutely impossible.
It is.
But here's what's happening in Ferguson. That pendulum I was talking about, that's been swinging towards the police state, as people call it.
For the last 50 years.
I think it's starting to... It's going to push back.
It has to. First of all, that's part of the old guy over here. The cycle does repeat itself.
Right.
The pendulum does swing. And where we're at right now, I call it the evolution solution. What we need to be aware of with the military-industrial complex and everything, because I'm a science guy and I like history and everything and evolution. If you make something in this business world, and I'm a business guy. This is a corporation. We're SoFlo Radio Incorporated. I want to make money. And as a businessman, I can tell you that when something makes me money, I repeat that. And when something doesn't make me money, I cease that. And that principle applies to every entity, not just individuals, but it applies to police forces, it applies to the military, it applies to the government, it applies to all of the corporations. When you create an entity like the military, and you create a situation where the more conflict there is in the world, the more money you make, guess what? The people that profit from the making of that money will seek ways to increase the level of conflict. When a police force's budget increases, if there is conflict, they will seek an increase in conflict. They're not going to seek to reduce their budget. So it's all a money thing. So while we're eating the Greek food from the Greek joint, we have to, because I told everybody on Facebook that we were going to solve the problems of the world in 3 hours or less.
And we can in November by voting yes on Amendment 2.
Okay,
That would be a huge start.
But how do we eliminate the profit, the profit and evil, the people that profit in bad things like war and crime? There are people that profit from that, and those entities should not generate profit. You got to break loaded up so we can eat this food? I hope so.
It smells great.
That's the only reason that I'm buying you lunch today. 9 till 1 on SoFloRadio.com. That and the black thing.
Yeah, so nice of you.
Right. Oh, so you weren't. So we're eating all this food? You're sitting here talking this whole time and you don't have a break loaded up?
I got a break loaded up. Go ahead.
Okay. Anytime you're ready.
Bushwood.
As I jump inside the ocean so blue,
With their sophomore release, Tidal Wave.
we've waited all this time to get the real world off your mind. Yeah.
Get yours on iTunes. Listen on Spotify.
Determination.
South Florida's own Bushwood.
Close your eyes.
For samples and shows, go to bushwoodband.com.
When you're ready to actually lose weight safely and steadily while being monitored by a physician, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson is there for you. The family medicine practice was established by her father in 1956 and continues as a medical practice that now specializes in weight reduction. Dr. Kim Jacobson joined the practice 20 years ago as both a family medicine practitioner and weight loss specialist. The Weight Loss Clinic utilizes a combination of appetite suppression medication and vitamins to produce great results, usually 3 to 4 pounds per week for most patients. Now you can change your lifestyle while still enjoying your own food, just less of it. They offer a choice of 2, 3, or 4-week plans. So whether you just need to lose a few pounds or a lot, the Weight Loss Clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson can help you. They're located at 5454 Northeast 4th Avenue in Miami, just 2 blocks west of 54th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. Call them at 305-751-0091. They'll be happy to answer any and all of your questions. That's 305-751-0091. Get started on a beautiful new body today with Dr. Kim Jacobson and the Weight Loss Clinic.
Pizza Loft, if you wanna go Italian and see Jeff Cohen's ponytail. You'll have great Italian food that's made by a Jew who has lovely painted nails.
Hey, Donnie, how long we been on this deserted island?
A long time, Lonnie. So long I'm starting to fantasize about food.
Yeah, food from the pizza loft.
I sure could go for one of their gourmet pizzas right about now.
Or lasagna bubbling with cheese and oozing with tomato sauce.
Stop it. You're making me think of their great manicotti and sensational Italian sandwiches.
Yeah, but there's nothing to eat here unless you want to gnaw on this old lamp that washed up on shore.
Speak to me, guys. What can I do for you?
Hey, look, Donnie, a genie.
I'm no genie. I'm Jeff Cohen from the Pizza Loft.
Wow, Lonnie, all our dreams are coming true.
Okay. How about some great homemade pasta or calzones and lots of that homemade Italian garlic bread?
Pizza Loft does catering, Lonnie. They can cater this whole island.
Hey, wait a minute, Donnie. We only get 3 wishes, don't we?
Oh, no. At Pizza Loft, your every wish is my command.
Then how about $1 million? A dozen babes. A way to get us off this stinking island.
Sorry, guys. I only do Italian.
For lunch, for dinner, for office or home catering. Step up to flavor. Step up to Pizza Loft.
We asked this gentleman to participate in our radio taste test challenge. On one table, terrestrial radio. On the other, SoFloRadio.com. Do you have your blindfold on?
Yes.
Try a bite of this.
Oh, God, that's awful. Tastes like the soiled briefs of a lonely fat man.
You just had a taste of all sports and corporate-backed right-wing assassin talk radio. Now give this a try.
That's gotta be SoFloRadio.com.
Entertaining, funny, informative.
I love it. Can I have more?
SoFloRadio.com. A full plate of delicious entertainment.
Sun come up, and I'm so tired. I'd like to sleep, but I can't come down. Call you up, but I don't want to. So I close my eyes and forget you. I don't need you is black, and I'm so blue. Can't get away from my own head, even if I wanted to. Send an email, but I don't want to. So I close my eyes and forget you. I don't need you anymore. I'm gonna close the door. I don't need you anymore at all. So give me time, give me my space, get you out of my blood, but it goes so slow. I know where to find you, but I don't want to. So I close my eyes and forget you. I don't need you anymore. I'm gonna close the door. I don't need you anymore at all. I don't need you anymore. I'm gonna close the door. I don't need you anymore at all. You know it's a big little world right in front of you, girl, once you reach out. Woo, tomorrow's the same as the past. Life goes slow and so fast, but it's happening now. Get on up to the top of the pop, get a message to the government. Get on up and show them how you feel. Every day this earth will spin. You're gonna lose some and you're gonna win. Either way, it's all experience. Yeah, whatever the wish you wish for, you don't leave it undone. It's up to you. You know it's a big little world right in front of you, girl, once you reach out. Woo, tomorrow's the same as the past. Life goes slow and so fast, but it's happening now. 36, 24, 36. If you're as big as a house or like a pixie stick, you know heaven wants to let you in. And there's one thing can't be denied, that you can't taste what you've never tried. Trust the itch that's underneath your skin. Whatever the wish you wish for, you don't leave it undone. It's yours to do. You know it's a big little world right in front of you, girl, once you reach out. Woo, tomorrow's the same as the past. Life goes slow and so fast, but it's happening now. Now, before the open road runs out, don't whisper when you wanna shout. When without a doubt you're gonna wish that you did something someday this good to remember. When it's a big little world right in front of you, girl, once you reach out. Woo, tomorrow's the same as the past. Life goes slow and so fast, but it's happening now. You know it's a big little world right in front of you, girl, once you reach out. Woo, tomorrow's the same as the past. Life goes slow and so fast, but it's happening now. You know it's a big little world right in front of you, girl, once you reach out. Woo, tomorrow's the same as the past. Life goes slow and so fast, but it's happening now. Life goes slow and so fast in this big little world. Life goes slow and so fast in this big little world.
Is that when I start talking? Hey, 1 o'clock, SoFloRadio.com. The George Rodriguez Show featuring all these wonderful people. Joe Castello is here. He brought the gin. Everybody's got an excuse. Billy came in to bring the fame. Joe came in to bring the gin.
Honestly, we're
Jack
live,
came in to bring the blackness.
We're live streaming. People can watch us on the web, right?
Right.
And you get wings, which are like the
camera.
least attractive thing to eat, like the most disgusting thing visually. Like you
I
look
thought
like
about
a savage.
we're very experienced radio show people. I did. I gave Billy the quick rundown that Joe was my first co-host / producer guy when I first filled in for Neil, and then the first at least couple of subsequent summers, at least the first summer,
at least 3 summers
where we were number 1.
Yes,
for most of that time. And so I got to hone my talk show host skills with Joe being the other guy, as I like to call it, because it's a very all-inclusive term.
Well, that works for me, the other guy. And then, I was your first other guy.
So we're very experienced, and in my humble radio experience, and Joe may or may not concur, wings and other finger foods are a very appropriate radio food because it just doesn't look right with a knife and fork. But if you're holding something...
You didn't have webcams when you were on
No,
the radio. So
that's
I'm
true.
just saying it's aesthetically unpleasing to watch people eat wings. It happens to be
You ever watch
one of the
someone
more unpleasant
watch
things
people
to
sit
watch
there with a knife and fork where it looks like they're at dinner and you're watching them while they're at dinner?
Until Neil, I never heard radio hosts really eat on the air.
That's hysterical. I was just
Yeah.
thinking about that because I had my first and last fill-in radio gig.
How was your last?
For Rick Sanchez. I hope
Last?
So. I hope
Why
so.
last?
I hope so.
You hated it?
We'll talk about that in a moment. It was very stressful. And anybody who thinks that filling the dead air between commercials is an easy gig has never
Right,
actually
thank you.
done it before.
That's why we want lots of commercials.
It's a very difficult thing to do, and people take it for granted that all he does is sit there and talk for 2 hours, for 3 hours, for 4
good luck
hours.
with that.
It's
Talking's
very
easy
tough.
until you have to.
Yes, and nobody calls, and you're at the.
But Joe called.
I called.
Thank you, Joe. And my
Larry
grandpa-
in Fort Lauderdale.
Larry, that's oh my god, that was hilarious.
Of course, that was me.
That was a great call because first of all, when it said Larry, I thought it was my dad. My dad's name Larry, so I thought for sure it was. So when I first came on, I might have been a little bit odd with you or like coy because I totally thought it was my father.
I think you might have even said that at the time.
Did I say "Hey, Dad" or what?
Something like that. I was on my way down to a Marlins game at like a automotive media event, and I heard you promote George was coming up, and I thought I am in bizarro world.
We love each other.
Who
Eat the last one. There's more coming.
Who on earth on WIOD would be promoting that George is coming on? Who is this? What's going on here?
Is this a ruse or some
This
kind?
person sounds reasonable. What's going on? And so I called George, and I was like, George, what's going on? He's like, oh, Billy is on.
I'm going on.
So I was like, all right. So I went back to listening, and I hear you talking about gay marriage, yes or no. Simple as that, right? And I'm hearing the ignorance just spew out. Billy, you know, if you had kids and you died, would you want 2 random gay guys raising your kids? And it's like, oh my gosh, this is just ridiculous.
Random gay guys, like there's this wheel of gay.
Hey,
When parents die, their kids just get handed to random gay people.
Random gay people. That's
They just walk into a place called Manhole, right at the bar, and they just say, "Excuse me, sir, are you gay? And is that your partner? Perfect. Would you like a baby?"
Where the children of dead Americans are willed to random gay people. And so I was like, oh my gosh, all right, you know what?
This was the quality of the callers.
I had
This is the same America where they force you to have abortions, right?
I had to support reasonable ideas. And so I called in Larry in Fort Lauderdale, and your guy is like, do you want to talk? And of course I'm like, well, not really, but if you call, you're supposed to, folks, if you call, you're supposed to go on the air. The producer hates you if you just tell him something. So I was like, yeah, I'll go on. Larry in Fort Lauderdale. And you're like, gay marriage, yes or no? I was like, yes. And the marijuana too. And everything. And it was good.
Yeah, everything.
Everything. Then I had to get
my
off.
baby to gay people with a joint. I don't care. But what's funny is that, first of all, the engineer who's like a pro, he was like the ultimate multitasker. I mean, he was like playing my cart. I call them carts. He was playing the carts. He was cueing the music.
That's how we know you're
taking
Neely.
Calls. It's true. And but here's the thing. They handed me a program director, sweetheart Grace. She hands me like this little packet of advice for on-air talent, like how to be a good host, and there's all these rules, and I'm like, and I was like don't eat. I was like, but Neil always ate. And then I wanted to play the I-95 asshole song. They had to bleep it, and I was like, Neil always said asshole.
You're in a totally different world.
Yep.
You're in the
Why do you think
past,
we're here?
in the future.
It's not. There are several reasons, not just one. that
This
we're
might
here
be excessive eating, though.
in this studio.
that could be. There's a line somewhere. We just got to find it.
Yeah, well, but we are allowed to experiment here on SoFlo Radio.
Once upon a time, you guys experimented. Of course, Neil had built up all that goodwill and cred and had more power and a guaranteed contract. So at the end of it, they could do nothing about it. And that's why he was able to get away with that.
Right, but in those days, lots of people said asshole.
In the packet, the informative packet, was there anything directive about political leanings? Did they tell you, no, Bill, we don't want you to
Honestly,
go crazy left on us here?
No, well, and what was interesting, what I felt about it is that, of course, Rick is, needless to say, right of center. He writes for like Fox Latino. Certainly, that is I think they have Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh on the network. And so what they told me was, they told me that the show's only 2 hours. I don't know who the hell listens from 10 to noon to the radio, to terrestrial radio.
The first half of the old Neil audience, that's the time slot. They haven't gone anywhere. They're looking for something. They might have been there. I was.
They told us that the 11 o'clock hour, the listenership gets more conservative because they tune in anticipation of Rush at noon. So I knew that. So I basically said, okay, I'm going to put the most controversial shit during the 11 o'clock hour. And then, of course, as the week went on, I only did Monday through Wednesday, I decided that I would make it crazier. And, I put George was, my last guest because we had talked about gay marriage. I want to talk about Neil and Anita Bryant. He was literally my last guest.
They weren't married.
And I had would that even be legal in the state for Neil and Anita Bryant to be
That would have been
married?
so funny.
Are you allowed to marry farm animals in this state? So, horses' ass.
By the way, gay people can get married, just not to each other.
Right.
See, that's the whole that's weird.
Yeah. That's it.
Gay people can be in fake heterosexual marriages, for the sake of all of the conveniences and everything. They used to do it all the time.
They can't marry people
they can't
love
marry, right.
And raise a child in a loving
No, they have to live a
home with
lie.
two parents.
Living a lie is okay.
That's okay.
But that's
It's America.
And that's particularly Florida with the whole no-fault divorce. That's what the whole... that law nullifies the marital vows. It legally nullifies the marital vows. So you might as well say during your wedding ceremony...
So it's like the Pope having annulling...
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you say. It's just they divide add everything up, divide by 2 when you get divorced. That's all.
Unless you're
matters.
gay, which you can't.
You can't even do that.
Oh my God!
2 units.
There's an important reason that I'm pro-gay marriage, and that is because I don't believe that straight people should be the only ones to have to suffer. I believe that all of the world's miseries, that the gay people should be allowed to enjoy all of the world's miseries like war and marriage, and that those things should not just be exclusively reserved for straight people.
Well, how I was getting all those wonderful calls that last hour is I saved gay marriage for the last hour of my last day on the show, which, again, they said was the more conservative listenership is during the 11 o'clock hour on IOD. So, excuse me, what I did was I had one of the 6 couples who were the plaintiffs, gay couples who were plaintiffs in the Miami-Dade federal litigation, where the week before they had another judge in Florida had declared the same-sex marriage ban unconstitutional, which another one did yesterday, I think, in Tallahassee, which is like the 5th federal judge to declare it unconstitutional.
It's over. It's just a matter of
absolutely.
time.
Right. But here's what. So I asked these guys, I had them both on the phone, this couple, these guys, and I said, listen, I said, what if we legalized same-sex marriage, but we illegalized same-sex divorce? Would you still want to be married? And they laughed, and they said probably. Probably, I think, was the answer, as I recall. So
how about if we illegalize divorce? Because then that's protecting the sanctity of marriage. And as a matter of fact, Jon Stewart said that sarcastically. If you believe in the sanctity of marriage, then you should at least be against no-fault divorce.
Divorce prohibition.
Right.
No more divorce.
No, because
that's it. Sorry. You get married, it's forever.
Jesus was against divorce. Jesus, on more than one occasion, said that you should not get divorced. That should divorce that one, what God has put together, let no man put asunder.
But hey, if
That's
we do that, no one
thing.
will get married. So then, what we have to do is make sure sex before marriage is also prohibited. Because that way, that's the only reason people will ever get married is to have sex. Oh wait, that's what we have had.
That's
for
what we have
thousands of years.
Yeah, and it's worked like a charm. See, right? And by the way, I'm in favor of the Freedom of Marriage Act because I believe that polygamy and polyandry should all be completely allowed. Because whose business is it?
Honestly, and they talk about that as a slippery slope, and I don't really
business?
get. Yeah, if consenting adults want to get into a contractual relationship
Right.
with each other. What is it any of our
anybody's business,
Now, the
sure.
problem, of course, polygamy comes along with all of these insane sects where they have children and
they trade their
That was
daughters and everything.
SECTS.
But they're
by the way.
stomping on the rights of another individual, which would be illegal.
100%.
And so if you could accommodate the rights of every individual and they go into it and agree to go into it, well, then
What's in
what?
any of our business? Yeah.
Exactly.
Ruth
The
Bader
state,
Ginsburg.
the big government
Ruth
that we
Bader
all hate.
Ginsburg said, the extension of our rights are the extension of our I'm sorry, I hit the mic, but they're swinging your arms around.
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to do that until you start to
Until you
swat
smack.
somebody in the face or
Absolutely.
get into someone's. But then you're now infringing upon the rights of somebody else.
Right.
And that's which. Who cares if 3 people, consenting adults, say, you know what, we want to be in a relationship together. We want the benefits that married people have. What is it any of our business? What the hell?
Let
do we
alone
care?
the state and the government. Let alone, absolutely. Except, good luck trying to explain that to the
Right.
average citizen who is
Well,
just wrapped
'cause
up in their own ignorance.
Here's a let me pose this. We redefine marriage. We roll the because there's church marriage, because that's how the Mormons get around it. We're married in the church just legally. The state only recognizes one man, one woman marriage. But we redefine marital law and incorporate it in a larger domestic partnership law thing, where 2 parties, even like what if you want to have a roommate? 2 men or 2 women want to be roommates and want to enter into a domestic partnership. Let's say they're best friends.
Cue
We're
John
just
Ritter.
friends over here. We're entering into a domestic partnership arrangement because we're going to be roommates. We're going to be sharing bills. We're going to be sharing space, and we want to have some legal promises that we're making to each other with regards to the financial
Get a
arrangement
lawyer,
here.
write a contract.
Do the University of
But
Miami.
that's what I'm saying. It's like instead of marriage, we have that, and then as far as the nookie, that's really between you. That's got the law have nothing to do with what the sex
So
is.
you have just successfully eliminated the whole concept of marriage as anything.
No, you
And that's
still go to your
probably
church. You still go to your church
sufficient.
and you get married.
Sufficient.
You still get married in the eyes of the church according to your personal
What
hocus
does the
pocus.
state have to do with it? It's a
but the
legal
state,
matter.
as far as the
Yes.
state is concerned, it's 2 people choosing to live together, and this is how the finances are dealt with. Bam. Because in Florida, that's all it means, is this is how the finances are dealt with. It doesn't matter whether or not, you understand that in Florida, because you've been married, in Florida it doesn't matter whether or not you had sex with each other. It doesn't matter if you cheated on the other person or if they cheated on you. It doesn't matter if they had sex with the football team in your bed. The sex that happens or doesn't happen is irrelevant
It's a sturdy bed.
in the state of Florida with regards to the marriage. And therefore the divorce.
Well, as far as cohabitating, I was going to say the University of Miami has no sorority houses ever. And the reason is Coral Gables
Faggots.
has an
Oh,
they have an anti-brothel law where X number of women cannot live together in the same dwelling.
Well, WTF.
Well,
that still
that's an
exists in Coral
outrage.
Gables today.
But that's something that I
And
was.
yet
gonna
But you
use.
can break into Ray Allen's house.
And you can have sex with a ghost.
Oh, it was just they were just perusing. They were just perusing
wanted
through
to
that.
see
Just
where
browsing?
he lived.
Yeah,
Leave him alone.
just want to see
They
what.
would slap
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah, but that leads to something that I was
Come on,
going
I'm just going to let myself in. The door was open.
There's just
I
7
went
of us. We're almost adults.
in. If he wanted us to be out, he would have locked the door.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
with his kids.
I heard you
what?
guys listening in. I was listening on the TuneIn app.
Yes, my
and-
favorite way to listen because they post our schedule.
Well, it's great
Which is cool.
because SoFlo Radio is just another radio station out there.
It's just another
Click
radio
this,
station.
click this,
When we
click this.
started this is what I say to people when I started, and you remember because you were there. We had to.
I was here at
explain-
the Genesis, baby.
We had to explain to people one of the original shows
Second
on the
week.
mouse pad. I'm
employee
and
4.
This is the reason that it's a radio station,
the
not
bed-
just
the
a
bed race.
schmendrick with a website with a radio show. It was like let's make it a radio
But you're
station.
still a schmedrick with a...
Nevertheless, and the radio station. But we started out having to explain to people how to listen.
Right.
And now they just, when I say have an internet radio station or I have an internet radio show, they reach into their pocket and they go, I listen with TuneIn or Spark Radio or something. And
And
then
at this moment, I should say, hey, shout out to Moses at Flanagan's, who I purchased my Martin Miller's gin from because I told him to listen on the TuneIn
Thanks,
app.
Moses.
I don't know. Well, don't
He
thank him
parted,
too much.
he parted
Thank you,
the
Moses.
gin seas for
Joe-
us.
He
and-
did actually help me out by charging me 2 cents more so I could get an additional
Yeah, you
point.
still paid for it. Yeah.
My additional point, though. I got an additional
What's
point.
the points? What are you talking about?
You get like loyalty points
Everywhere
and
they
you
give
At
you
a
loyalty
liquor
points.
store, what kind of degenerate alcoholic gets loyalty
Do I
points
need
at
to
the
even
liquor store.
answer
I
that
get loyalty
question?
points everywhere.
Yes,
But
and I got a $20 gift card to Flanagan's.
But
What?
Billy
Yeah,
and
that's
Joe,
awesome.
For
Billy
2
and Joe,
cents.
to combat something that you were talking about as far as the laws are concerned.
Whoa, black guy saying combat. I feel
know.
threatened.
All right, where's Hollywood Police?
Where's my taser?
All right.
I have them on speed dial
Yeah, I bet.
when I do the show with Jack.
But but a lot of the things that are happening now are because of these antique laws. You know, nobody's like sitting here saying, "Well, this is 2014. We don't ride carriages and stuff like that." But again, you're fighting, like you said, people that are stuck in their ignorance. They're caught up in their ignorance, and you're not looking at a situation like some of the things that have transpired.
What John Boehner, who everyone pretty much agrees upon, at least in this room, I would say, he said we should not be judged on the laws we make, but the laws that we get rid of.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. I think we all feel this way just about different laws. Like this law that you're talking about, I had never heard of it.
There are too many laws.
What's
There are
just
too many laws.
Years of years stacked upon one another. There are all kinds of crazy laws. You can look. You can't walk down the street eating an ice cream cone in certain
Right.
cities. You're supposed to have sex in the missionary position, or else you've done something that is technically against law.
Oh,
it's
shit.
just not enforced. You know,
We should all be in prison then. We really need some more prisons.
and some people.
Well, they're
believe-
building them.
Call Rick
It's-
Scott.
Private
Definitely.
prisons, yeah, exactly, for business. Listen, we're going to find something that you did, so you can go into the business of the
And
prison.
feed the beast.
But
Yeah.
wouldn't where do we have to go to get to the point where they can go through and say, all right, you know what, quick vote, the brothel law, and can we get rid of that? Can we get, because I think right now we should be closer to having brothels than an anti-brothel
Not
law.
letting women live together because it might be a brothel. Yeah.
Quick vote. Can we get rid of this one? Boom,
Yeah.
gone. We need to get to that, but government works so slowly that we never will.
There's no financial
corruptly.
incentive.
Of course.
Yes.
There's no
Yeah.
financial incentive to getting rid of the brothel law.
And speaking of which, this is where I think people need to start coming together, because I think that or can start coming together, because I think that this is not a partisan issue. The idea that there are too many laws, I don't think that's a partisan issue. I don't think it's a partisan
Sign
issue.
me up.
The militarization of the police department, and by the way, if it is a partisan issue, it actually brings the far left and the far right together ideologically.
Right.
I would think. What's funny too, of course, is the conservatives are now blaming Barack Obama. They're like, you wanted big government, you voted this guy president. It's like the militarization of the police force is
started with-
entirely Barack Obama's
Right.
fault. By the way, he hasn't done anything to fix it. I don't know what he's done for black people. I get it, but
he's a politician. That's
Right.
what I said. You know,
well, if
I
you're
mean,
not a part of the solution, though, you're a part of the problem.
Problem, right.
Could have never
but you can't
gotten
blame
there
it
without
Right.
playing the game.
But you can't
Right.
blame it on
His gay
one
marriage stance is
president.
a perfect example.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Guantanamo,
who were the big
drones, the NSA.
Right.
If he hadn't
He's
already,
the same guy as the last guy.
Right.
This guy. Let's
And the
get
next
real.
guy, and the
He
next
just
guy,
he just didn't have a
will
shoe
be
thrown
too.
in his
Right.
face.
Well, look, what's the line from Bulworth? White people have more in common with colored people than they do with rich people. So
Yeah.
that's the real division in this country. Is between the haves and the have-nots, the proverbial 99% and 1%. But what they do is as Barack Obama actually said in the 2008 election, he said, they take issues like guns and abortion, and I'd add race to that list,
Yes.
and religion
Wedge
to divide
issues.
Right.
wedge issues, because it keeps all of us down, not just the black man.
See-
it keeps all of us in our place.
See, the thing is like when a person like myself, a black guy,
Oh, that's good.
if I speak
I
something,
didn't know what you meant by that.
if I speak anything near making
could have been referring
sense-
to your Mormonism.
Yeah, probably.
How are the sister wives?
It's viewed as me being militant, and it's far from that. It's a situation where I'm not looking at you as a white guy or a white guy. Hispanic.
Whatever I am.
I'm trying not to be derogatory.
Right.
Hispanic.
This is
Spick.
actually a better proportion
Spick.
of white to black
Uh-huh.
than the Ferguson Police Department,
Definitely
by
is.
the way. Who has
no,
who has 3
75%.
black officers out of 53.
No, there was a highway patrolman that he stepped in.
They found the highest ranking black
Black
guy
guy.
in the state to come and take over the situation.
Right.
I feel so, by the way, it's hilarious. So Ferguson.
Y'all go home now.
Oh, Ferguson.
We want no trouble with these white folk. Here.
Ferguson.
Wow, he's actually.
Wow.
Go about your business.
Ferguson has 53 cops.
I'll eat this chicken here. Hold on.
Oh, no. And
From
he's
Boys
actually
in the
eating
Hood,
the chicken.
the guy from Boys in the Hood.
That sure is good.
53 cops in the city of Ferguson, 3 of whom are black, despite the fact that 67% of the population in the city is black.
No qualified candidates.
No, that must be why, because they arrest them all and criminalize them, and then they can't get jobs. This is what happens when 92% of traffic stops are of black people in the town, despite them only being 67% of the population. 97% of arrests are of black people in the town. So again, 53 cops, 3 of whom are black, and then I watch on CNN several days into this, into the unrest, into the demonstrations. 2 black guys, and then that white St. Louis County police chief behind them. So this is the face they put on is like, oh, look, 2/3 black police on the TV.
And you know what? Yeah.
What are the optics?
But that exactly is a microcosm of what's going on with Washington. That's exactly what's happening with Barack Obama. You put a blackface there, and now everybody was so tired of seeing... Yeah. So tired of seeing this pasty, white, old, gray-haired guy. Fill in the blank. McCain, whoever, we all collectively just got tired of seeing your grandfather sitting there telling us that we're going in this direction.
Hold on. Barack is half white, man.
He is half white.
He's as white as he is black.
His wife is, his mom was a white Kansas woman.
Not according to anyone for whom color matters.
Exactly.
If you are a cracker, the kind of person that color makes a difference in your opinion, then he's black.
Yeah, I mean, I live in that same world that you do. But the people of Fox or whoever look at him as a black guy.
Billy mentioned, again, what has he done for black people? And I would say, as the president, it's not your job to do anything for black people. It's your job to do things for the people.
Okay, so what is
all
he
of the people?
Well, he showed that we could hit a jump shot left-handed.
Yeah.
Oh.
See what he's done.
He gave Kevin Durant down.
Here's my theory, my political cycle theory, because we are owned lock, stock, and barrel by that 1% and the international
money equals
banking
power.
and the military-industrial complex, etc. So depending on how pissed off the people are, they either give us a Republican or a Democrat. Now the Republicans are evil in broad daylight.
Blood of Crip.
But if the things are so bad that the people are on the verge of rioting and rebelling, they'll throw in a Democratic president that will throw us a bone, like healthcare, for example. Let's get a Democrat in there because they're bought off also. And then we're going to allow the Democrat to accomplish one little thing for the people, like the healthcare thing. We're going to throw them a bone. And if the people aren't all arm flappy and spazzy, then you get a Republican president that just moves the piece one more, slices the pie thinner for us, thicker for them.
Or on a lower scale.
Because we don't, with the two parties, because I'm a big Bernie Sanders fan.
I do too. I think he should run for president just
Bernie
to mix
Sanders
it up.
and Elizabeth Warren. There's the ticket. There's my dream team right there.
Well,
you don't like Elizabeth?
I know I like her. I just live in the real world.
She's
where that is not.
She's
a
the vice
possibility.
president. Yeah. Well, that's the same thing
this
with
isn't
Bernie
the West
Sanders.
Wing on NBC.
Well, you can do one or the other. But you can't do both.
But you got to balance. Who are you going to balance Bernie Sanders' ticket with? Attila the Hun? I mean,
Bernie Sanders has zero chance of winning anything except for doing the Ron Paul move and changing the view of independent socialists from oh my gosh, they've got a hammer and sickle.
Who isn't bought off? Who isn't bought off and part of the establishment?
Are there any politicians national politicians, who go to Washington, whether they're presidents or congressmen or senators, who come out with less money than they went in?
Zero.
None.
Harry Truman.
And a book deal.
Harry Truman died broke.
There you go. Let's get him for president again.
We can't get to the solution. I don't necessarily
And you don't
agree.
qualify unless you're rich. How do you
you
even...
have to be a property owner. And recently Republicans have said maybe voting should be restricted to those people who own property.
Finally, that'll fix it.
Yeah, there you go.
We can't get to a real solution because we can't get to a conversation. We have been told as kids from the time we were born that Americans, we can do anything. We can go to the moon. We got can-do attitude. But we can't even have a real conversation about anything.
Thank you.
Because
we
everybody
can't even get to the moon anymore. We don't even have that technology.
No, we do not.
In commission.
We do not. That is frightening and scary because we decided, hey, been there, done that. We don't want to do that anymore. We don't want to spend. We can't even have a conversation about anything because we don't have agreed upon facts.
Right.
We can't even agree upon what it is we're talking about. What issue is it that we're talking about? Is it taxation? Is it blacks in America? Is it what are we talking
Religion?
about?
I mean, it's
because we all have our own information that is no way connected to the others, and immediately, is in the first minute, the conversation becomes this angry back and forth where both people walk away and we're done. That's a big problem. That's the problem.
That's the real pendulum right there. Because until, it's a situation where two people are going to talk until they're blue in the face, except for me because that doesn't work for me.
Racial humor.
Yeah.
We do it all the time.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm part Navi.
Yeah. I see it. But it's really a situation of what I was raised on compared to what you were raised on, the ethics that you were raised on. Well, I feel that it was this way because when I was growing up, this is what it was. And that's been the basis of the American conversation. Like, all right, do you just see that this is just fucked up? It's just fucked up, period. Sorry.
I'm cursing on my radio show.
Yeah, it's on the internet.
It's okay.
But that's the basis of the conversation. We can't even sit here and be like, well, my experiences have showed me this and that and that and that. You could tell me, well, I could show you another way of how you could have taken another path. And I probably did it or I probably didn't do it. But either way, we can have some form of an impasse and we can have that type of conversation. But no, it's not a real conversation until I'm standing on top of this table.
I want to have a conversation about gin, so I want to take a commercial break and get ice and start
We're
mixing
having that
drinks.
conversation right now, though, which is why it's up to us right here today to solve all of the world's
noticing
I'm
the
ready.
clock. By the way, 'cause there's
We
a
got
whole
3 hours to do it.
You'll be
rationale.
after your second or third cocktail.
Well, what we need seriously,
Because
though,
Joe started the Friday cocktails tradition, and I want to credit
this is me.
him with this. But here in Hollywood, we start our happy hour earlier than most folks.
So Flow
do.
Fridays.
Okay, that's what we call it. So Flow Fridays.
So Flow Fridays.
I coined that phrase. It's registered trademark. 126 on all So Flow Fridays radio. SoFlowRadio.com.
Are you online?
Well, I don't go in for that computer stuff.
Then we're not interested in you. SoFlowRadio.com.
Pizza Loft, if you wanna go Italian and see Jeff Cohen's ponytail. You'll have great Italian food that's made by a Jew who has lovely painted nails.
Hey, Donnie, how long we been on this deserted island?
A long time, Lonnie. So long I'm starting to fantasize about food.
Yeah, food from the pizza loft.
I sure could go for one of their gourmet pizzas right about now.
Or lasagna bubbling with cheese and oozing with tomato sauce.
Stop it. You're making me think of their great manicotti and sensational Italian sandwiches.
Yeah, but there's nothing to eat here unless you want to gnaw on this old lamp that washed up on shore.
Speak to me, guys. What can I do for you?
Hey, look, Donnie, a genie.
I'm no genie. I'm Jeff Cohen from the Pizza Loft.
Wow, Lonnie, all our dreams are coming true.
Okay. How about some great homemade pasta or calzones and lots of that homemade Italian garlic bread?
Pizza Loft does catering, Lonnie. They can cater this whole island.
Hey, wait a minute, Donnie. We only get 3 wishes, don't we?
Oh, no. At Pizza Loft, your every wish is my command.
Then how about $1 million? A dozen babes. A way to get us off this stinking island.
Sorry, guys. I only do Italian.
For lunch, for dinner, for office or home catering, step up to flavor. Step up to Pizza Loft.
Strawberry patch and smoothie.
Get your hands off me.
Huh?
I said don't touch me.
I shouldn't have went to that party last night. Now I'm seeing talking fruit.
You're not dreaming, Bubba, and you're not putting me in that blender.
But you're just a fruit.
Who you calling a fruit?
You are. You're a delicious passion fruit.
Why, sure, I'm passionate. How would you like to be blended, huh? I got right, you know.
Customers waiting. You gotta go.
Yeah, but wait, you can...
At Power Smoothie in Aventura, we show fruit no mercy. Always fresh, always delicious. To make the best smoothies and wraps on earth, try our new cilantro lime-alicious wrap or our hot chipotle chicken. Power Smoothie in Aventura, located just north of the Aventura Mall in the Promenade Shops. Or call 305-792-5338. Open 7 days a week.
Pizza Loft, if you wanna go Italian and see Jeff Cohen's ponytail. You'll have great Italian food that's made by a Jew who has lovely painted nails.
Hey, Donnie. Donnie, how long we been on this deserted island?
A long time, Lonnie. So long I'm starting to fantasize about food.
Yeah, food from the pizza
I
loft.
sure could go for one of their gourmet pizzas right about now.
Or lasagna bubbling with cheese and oozing with tomato sauce.
Stop it. You're making me think of their great manicotti and sensational Italian sandwiches.
Yeah, but there's nothing to eat here unless you want to gnaw on this old lamp that washed up on shore.
Speak to me, guys. What can I do for you?
Hey, look, Donnie, a genie.
I'm no genie. I'm Jeff Cohen from the Pizza Loft.
Wow, Lonnie, all our dreams are coming true.
Okay. How about some great homemade pasta or calzones and lots of that homemade Italian garlic bread?
Pizza Loft does catering, Lonnie. They can cater this whole
Hey,
island.
wait a minute, Donnie. We only get 3 wishes, don't we?
Oh, no. At Pizza Loft, your every wish is my command.
Then how about $1 million? A dozen babes. A way to get us off this stinking island.
Sorry, guys. I only do Italian.
For lunch, for dinner, for office or home catering, step up to flavor. Step up to Pizza Loft.
When you're ready to actually lose weight safely and steadily while being monitored by a physician, the weight loss clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson is there for you. The family medicine practice was established by her father in 1956 and continues as a medical practice that now specializes in weight reduction. Dr. Kim Jacobson joined the practice 20 years ago as both a family medicine practitioner and weight loss specialist. The weight loss clinic utilizes a combination of appetite suppression medication and vitamins to produce great results, usually 3 to 4 pounds per week for most patients. Now you can change your lifestyle while still enjoying your own food, just less of it. They offer a choice of 2, 3, or 4-week plans. So whether you just need to lose a few pounds or a lot, the weight loss clinic of Dr. Kim Jacobson can help you. They're located at 5454 Northeast 4th Avenue in Miami, just 2 blocks west of 54th Street and Biscayne Boulevard. Call them at 305-751-0091. They'll be happy to answer any and all of your questions. That's 305-751-0091. Get started on a beautiful new body today with Dr. Kim Jacobson and the Weight Loss Clinic.
CBC5 is the executive liaison for all your building compliance needs. Serving South Florida from the Palm Beaches to Key West, CBC5 delivers 5-star service that brings...
what's this ABC or BDQ or whatever?
CBC5. It stands for Complete Building Compliance.
Oh, I ain't building nothing, so what can they do for me?
Well, they do more than plan review and permitting. They help the little guy cut through red tape.
I got duct tape holding together my carport.
Well, CBC5 can help. Let them deal with bureaucrats. They helped George Rodriguez solve a sewer lateral problem, and they saved him a ton of money and hassles.
By City Hall, who can do that?
CBC5 can do that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a commercial to finish. Contact Shoddy the Hottie at CBC5 786-255-3851 or log on to cbc5.net. That's cbc5.net.
Don't chase your tail again, sweet girl. These are the best times in your little world. The tiny, great, big problems seem impossible to face. But with a little faith, nothing is impossible. Bet your life upon a star. You're bound to get there from no matter where you are. Little twists of fate seem so difficult to take, but with a little faith, nothing is impossible. With them and send them back to us as plans. Nothing in this world could ever wash away your curious mind, but with a little faith, nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible.
Oh no, dead air. I brought a bottle of diet gin in here. Oh, it's in front of Joe.
No multitasking.
Hand me that one.
You want the diet?
I want the diet because I don't drink sugar anymore. Really? You guys, and Joe and I, Billy, just so you know, Joe and I used to talk about, because we're about a decade apart, thereabouts, and I'm always I hit all the old guy stuff first, so I get to tell Joe about it, and then like the very next day it happens to him.
It's actually that's very true.
So one of the things one of the forks that I came upon in my life is I was getting fat and I needed to eliminate something, and it wasn't going to be beer. All right, you can't continue in your same lifestyle being immune to things. So it wasn't going to be beer. So I cut out sugar and sugary drinks. And so everything is diet, and people go, "Oh, the artificial sweeteners and this and that." Oh, here, Billy, pour yourself some gin and tonic. What mixer do you like? Just so I can be ready for the next time. Gin and ginger ale. I should have known. That's good. That's a very good alcoholic's drink because it's self-soothing.
Yes.
It soothes the stomach.
Right. But yeah, because I used to drink gin and tonics, but the quinine plays tricks on my tummy.
I see. Well. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Thank you.
So the sugar, because I can understand that because I was just about to do a spiel on how I can't drink.
My Diet Coke says share a Coke with Dad. You know the name can thing they've been doing,
which I hate.
My favorite, although this is a pretty funny meme. There was a meme with a Coke can said,
I know the one.
Share a Coke with Whitney, and someone captioned, "She's had enough already." That's pretty solid.
The one I saw was
R.I.P.
What was it? Have whatever. The two words are Coke and Molly. You get the joke.
Yeah, that was on the bus.
You get the joke.
Yeah.
That's a whole can of worms.
Coke and Molly.
A Coke can of worms.
Coke
they're
with
leading
Molly.
into. So does everyone have their gin drink over here?
I'm ready.
So Joe, when he was on, Billy, hoist your glass and let's toast over here to racism in America.
Awesome.
Wonderful place.
May it go on for 1,000 years.
Now listen, here's
in the military complex.
And we were talking about how issues that are kind of bringing both sides of the aisle together, such as the militarization of local police departments.
Right.
I think let's take a look at this medical marijuana situation in the state of Florida. Amendment 2 on the ballot. It looks right now, the current polling the last poll I saw was 88% of Floridians supported. When the hell was the last time 88% of anybody agreed on anything? So the 12% of people, it's 88% support, 10% are against it. I'm guessing the other 2% were too stoned to participate in the survey.
Probably.
But who are these 10%? The governor, Rick Scott, Pam Bondi, the attorney general, and the Florida Sheriff's Association, how much more cynical and less to protect and survey can you get than being against this, because they want to protect their asset forfeiture fiefdom. It's about money. Like, how sick is it that the police should have a financial motive to not actually create a law that would be good for everybody, and that 88% of people agree with.
Here's the better question.
It's that evolution thing
for that athlete that got arrested for.
Which athlete?
I'm just saying. In general,
got arrested.
In general, they got arrested for the weed.
Right.
Is he going to get that money rescinded back to him from the league when they find him for that drug arrest?
Well, this is the crazy.
I doubt it.
This is the crazy twisted thing is that with asset forfeiture, which is one of the most twisted things in America, and I don't know why how it exists is beyond comprehension, because the police,
like all things, it starts with a good idea, and then somebody grabs it and corrupts it and runs
and
with it
funds
because there's a financial incentive built into it.
Right.
That's
so the whole idea
corrupts itself.
Law enforcement costs money. Right. These people have a lot of money, so while we're busting them, let's take our money that we can use it.
It's a perverse incentive, though, because here's the problem. Somehow the law is that the police, if you are suspected and arrested, which we all know in this system, we're taught you're innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
They can take your car, your home, your money
as
a suspect. And if you're convicted, and if they drop the charges or you're acquitted, you still never get that stuff back. That's the burden of proof is on you to get your stuff back. That's the opposite of the system.
Yeah. Let's take a second, though. We all acknowledge, and I think listeners out there, we all acknowledge there's a myriad of problems, and we can solve very few at any one time. However, this one we can solve through action this November, and the only thing that's going to stop it is if we do like Stacks in Goodfellas and fall asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that we drive this one home. We punch the ball into the end zone, whatever 100%. We're talking about. Talk to your friends. I hate to be that guy, but that is the truth right here. I just got back from Denver, Colorado.
Awesome.
And
I see. I smell it on you.
I experienced, not just moments ago, within the past month,
I still smell it.
experienced the legal recreational marijuana industry. I stayed an extra day. I did a internet search, Siri, recreational marijuana stores nearby. A whole list came up. I went to the closest one. It was called Canamart.
Wow.
There was a 4-slot strip mall.
It's way cooler than Gay Mart, where I have shopped.
Much, much better. There was a liquor store and 2 empty slots and Canamart. Walk into Canamart. There is a door, like a little window, like you're going to the dentist where you would sign in. They ask for your ID. You slide it through. They give it back. They buzz you in. You go in. It's this vast, empty, open space with a tiny little display case with 4 jars of marijuana. And the guy goes, what are you interested in? Are you interested in edibles? Are you interested in spice? Like, listen, I don't want to smell. I'm just here for the experience. This is cannabis tourism, what's happening. I want to see how it all goes. So the transaction occurred. Of course, there's all kinds of propaganda. Don't take it to the airport. Don't do this. Don't do that. Whatever. The world continued to rotate. Everyone is showing up to work, guys. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's what violent crime.
Even the black people
down.
Yes.
And they have hundreds of millions of dollars for education in schools that didn't exist a year ago.
Which we all knew exactly. That's exactly what was going to happen. We knew that.
We can have that here in 10 years, maybe less, if we start chipping at this wall in November, medical marijuana.
Amen. So don't smoke before you go to the polls. Smoke afterwards.
Right, celebratory.
And by the way, here's another thing with the financial influence on the evolution of a system, because that's the whole thing. It is too expensive. The whole war on drugs as it relates to marijuana is not returning on their investment. Is not returning.
Can you imagine people
money.
could grow their own medicine?
Look, sure.
I mean,
well, and there's the opposition right there. It's the pharmaceutical industry and the alcohol industry, and I don't want these factions warring. You know, it kind of breaks my heart.
Yeah.
It's like the Middle East,
the Vice
like
people.
Middle East peace or the Hatfields and the McCoys. Don't y'all fight? Your family
the gin makes the oxy work faster.
Right. See, to take from your
activates it.
Yeah. your documentary. Square Grouper.
The Godfathers of Ganja. Yes,
right,
sir.
right. The Godfathers of Ganja. You saw a situation where, because it was multiple parts of that documentary.
I just want to point out that Billy being here really adds a lot of credibility to this conversation.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, this guy did a documentary about it.
And by the way, I don't smoke. Never have.
No, this is
Never have.
This is a Billy tidbit.
But he got
that
contact,
I know about.
though. I bet he got contact.
Why are you making that choice?
He's getting contact high right now.
I'm making that choice because I'm an American and I should be free to make that choice.
If
just
it
like
is
I believe that
legal
people should be
tomorrow
free.
and there's a store and
Yes.
we can stop by, would
Yes.
you do it then?
No.
Bill, I can having hung out with Billy, I can honestly tell you that if anyone in the world doesn't need drugs, it's this man here.
You could chill this dude out a little.
You could, if you could extract whatever's running through his bloodstream naturally, it would be a drug.
So he could pass the piss test
felt
for you.
after 3 days of filling in for Rick Sanchez. I was like, if I wanted to, it was going to smoke weed, it would be right now.
Right then.
And I was able to let that. Let that pass.
Let that feeling pass.
It was my God, I don't want to bring that up, but I get stressed. Actually, it's like PTSD hosting that show.
It possesses
but
your
thank
mind.
You for calling. If I didn't say that,
but
if I didn't say that when you were on the air,
No.
It takes over your
not
head.
anytime. I'm not doing that shit again.
You should do it again.
But-
you should
but-
do it.
No,
But to
do
take-
it here. We'll
social
talk about that. You
Exactly.
But to take from
Do
your
your news
documentary, Billy, you saw a situation where, especially in the one in Everglades, where this was something that it was a surplus. It was something that helped the economics of a neighborhood. So if you saw something like that, why wouldn't you see it as a case of, well, you know what, maybe we could use it statewide and help out the community. I mean,
That's the
help
town
out-
of Everglades City, a population of 500 people, where over the course of several years, well, first of all, the entire town became it's called the Last Frontier. It's a town of outlaws. There's always been some kind of smuggling, whether it was Chinese immigrants, of plumes, feathers for ladies' hats. So there's always been something going on.
Pirates World.
In the 70s, what was interesting, though, is this was... and this town is literally between Naples and Kendall, in the middle of the Everglades.
Right.
And even when you get to the intersection of Tamiami, they're still 2 miles south of Tamiami, in the middle of the 10,000 Islands, which are just this sort of elaborate labyrinth of trees that grows and changes constantly as the tides change.
Sure.
These mangrove trees, and it's like a maze that only they know how to get through. So they've been able to very successfully smuggle, and it all went to pot, the town, and in part because the national parks came in. They were no longer able to fish the way They used to. Their livelihood was being taken away, and they needed a new trade. And then what wound up happening is 80% of the male population was arrested by the federal government for marijuana hauling. And this was a town that was very devout, very religious, and in fact,
where are you going with my cousin?
One guy,
but very independent.
They only have 5 last names in the whole town too.
Yeah.
There's like 500 people. But one of the guys, Shane, who I interviewed for Square Grouper, he told the story of he was like nickel and dime. He was selling weed, and his dad kicked his ass. He's like, we're not drug dealers. If you want to work, we'll get on the boat and we'll transport some marijuana. They were but that's the thing is like, what he thought he was. We're not scumbag hippies. Like, yeah, we do transportation, but we're not drug dealers.
Florida was always pirates' world. It was notorious for its lawlessness. Way before this identity, the whole touristy thing, this was superimposed upon the original economy of Florida. Was a haven for pirates, and that was the original culture here. Is
Until
people
Flagler came
do
in.
their own things. It's like the hillbillies with the moonshining. It's like we do our own thing here.
No, you know what they say? L.A. is where you go when you want to be somebody. New York's where you go when you are somebody. And Miami's where you go when you want to be somebody else.
Dude, I heard this guy once
Sunny
said
place
the
for
best
shady
quote-
people.
The best quote ever. You should have retired after
That
that.
guy, yeah.
That was wherever you got that. Seriously, I
I
quoted
picked it
you
up through the years.
50,000 times.
Martin Maron, the comedian, has a cute quote too. It's not dissimilar. He says, "Florida's where you go at the end of your life or the end of your rope." That's which is very, very similar.
Or Montana.
It wasn't
if you're black.
Kalispell.
Yeah. Listen, it's an experience. I would love to take a field trip and you all go.
Where in Montana are you from, you racist?
Northwestern Libby, Montana. All right, now because you mentioned Kalispell, if you drive an hour and a half deeper into the woods from Kalispell, northwest, then you reach Libby. It's not hillbillies. It's
I was just
different.
I was just in Brainerd, Minnesota last week.
They say, "Oh yeah, sure."
Minnesota.
That's how they talk in Montana. Oh yeah, sure. Bag your face, buddy. When I went, see, I moved from
Fargo.
North Carolina to Montana, so I had a hillbilly
North
accent.
Carolina?
I
I
had a redneck. I had a hillbilly accent, and they made fun of me.
Yeah.
They went, "Shaw, check your accent out. Where's Granny and Uncle Jed, dude? You sound like a hillbilly. Totally. You have a ride to the kegger? No, you just got here. Of course you don't. Jump in the truck. It's usually $5, but we'll spot you this time. It's your first time, so we'll just take you, man. You like it? It's all nice people."
You're just a weird concoction, aren't you?
That's how.
You're
That's
Cuban,
how they sound.
hillbilly,
I noticed. I have a theory.
Montana.
Everybody who puts white shit on their nose, whether you're a skier or a surfer,
Or Tony Montana.
you sound like that, buddy.
Yeah.
If you put white shit,
Spicoli.
not up your nose, but on your nose. If you
your-
put zinc on your nose, you sound like you're from California.
It
Automatically,
changes your
whether
your
you're a
vocal.
skier on the slopes, a snowboarder, skateboarder, or a surfer, buddy.
Spicoli.
If it involves a board and sliding on shit and
Spicoli,
white shit on your
Spicoli.
nose, you
There you
talk
go.
like that. And everybody in Montana talks like that. And I was like, "Hey, how y'all doing?"
You know, it's amazing that you can Facebook with that bed sheet on your head. It really is.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
remarkable.
I had to, the holes are embroidered on my. I have a classy bed sheet where the holes are actually embroidered, and you can, they're hemmed,
No.
and it's
George's
it's,
isn't a bed sheet. It's
by the way,
leather.
it's
a leather mass.
and by the way, it's a fitted sheet.
White
It's not just some. It's not a random bed
Egyptian
sheet. It's actually
cotton.
tailor made,
It's
right, to
Egyptian
fit my pointy head. That's not a point. That's how my head looks
You're
under
like
my
a cop
hat.
in
It's a raid.
Fruitland Park.
Can't wear a mask
funny
without
thing
a
is,
raid.
there is an area northwest, even more northwest of Libby, which is the town that I lived in, which is it's the area is known as the Yak, and I guess it's actually a town now, so it's not the Yak area anymore. It's Yak, Montana, and that is where the separatists live. And I don't mean separate just from black people. That's more like incidental, separate from everybody, separate from the world. Ted Kaczynskiville.
Oh,
like,
okay.
as a matter of fact, there's a level beyond that. Like the people in the Yak, that's a community. Ted Kaczynski and those people, they shun community. They don't want to be part of a community. They want to be actual
mountain
hermit
types.
loners.
Paul Bunyan.
But this is
Now, Paul Bunyan was a hard worker. He made all
that's
the
right. He
lakes.
worked in the logging camps. Based on a true story. His real nickname was Saginaw Joe in Minnesota. The real Paul Bunyan.
I did not know that.
A New York writer that was traipsing around doing odd jobs, gathering material.
So wait, there's no big blue ox?
No.
What?
Speaking of yaks and hate, the Westboro Baptist Church,
Oh,
who
great.
you might be familiar with
My
them.
favorites, yes.
They have announced that they will picket Mike Brown's funeral on Monday.
For being black.
Well,
Yeah, what's the beat? Was he
Hey,
gay?
supports
I don't
gays.
understand.
did you hear about the officer? who's having his funds being taken care of by the KKK. They're raising money.
They're helping.
We're
selling T-shirts.
Yeah,
they did one of
But
those.
Do you know that that's even true? This thing about this Mike Brown story, I came in late. I know you guys discussed it. I'm watching it. Every day it's on. You can't get away from it. I kind of think that the whole ISIS Iraq thing is a lot more scary.
I got it
than
on my
me.
notebook.
But this is what everybody wants to talk about.
By the way, it's arguably not. I'm just saying because it's a horrible story.
Yeah,
and
right.
by the way, the next hostage that they showed at the end of the beheading video, who they said this guy's next if you don't whatever the hell these lunatics want.
Leave.
This guy went to University of Central Florida. He's from Miami.
Oh my
There's
gosh.
always a Florida connection.
Always.
In this horrible story.
The countdown clock is about to go
what
up.
I'm saying is
CNN.
the reason why arguably Ferguson is more scarier is because it's actually happening here in America, and it has been happening here in America, whether we know it or not, whether we've been aware of it or not. Thank God it's on TV every day. Finally,
Yes.
finally, and because these are victims in this country. These are Americans being victimized by a system that is supposed to be protecting people who are innocent until proven guilty.
I don't disagree with any of that. I heard you guys talking. I'm going to surmise everything that I think about your previous conversation in that once again, we're not getting the information accurately. Like what you just said, maybe that's true.
Right.
But maybe 6 hours from now, we'll find out that, that was just put out into the public. And so many different things have come out, and, that's wrong. And then this happened, and, that's wrong.
Not
and there's
many of those things.
What about the ocular, the eye?
By the way,
fracture.
That was yesterday.
But that was Fox News. You have to
turns out
immediately
that's not true.
But, he did have an injury to his eye, which is apparently.
How do you even formulate an opinion? I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, in this case, everybody is right and everybody is wrong all at the same time. The worst kind of argument, like if you were married or whatever, or you have a good friend, well, you're both kind of right and you're just fighting it out over something. I feel like that we know what the story is. There's the kid. The kid they have a conflict. There's the kid's version, which is the cop opened the door into him, and he's starting to pull away, and then a shot was fired. There's the cop's version, which is the kid tried to take his gun.
And then there's the truth.
Honestly, I hate to sound opportunistic, like Jesse Jackson, but I'm not fundraising off of this.
Yes.
But I'm saying I don't
Al Sharpton.
honestly, in a way, obviously, I have sympathy for. This cop's life is over for all intents and purposes.
No, he can go to the Idaho Panhandle. Mark Furman went there.
Mike Brown's life is literally over.
Right.
Okay. This is a terrible tragedy, but I care about this so much more beyond Michael Brown and this Darren Smith. I think that all of this petty, you're right, the breaking news. Listen, on social media, it's better to be first than right, and then apologize later.
Which is where we're at as a society.
Right. But who cares? But for the moment, I don't say who cares about Mike Brown. I'm saying who cares about all that nitty gritty. I think there's the conversation we're now having in this country is much more important than all of that.
Do you think that this is actually the beginning of the conversation on race that America has to have?
No. I think it's the pendulum swinging back on police militarization and these kind of, and I think hopefully the end of you being victimized in Miami Gardens just because you're a black guy driving through the city.
The police militarization, both groups have an issue there. And by the way, I'll bring up.
I'm scared of the cops too. That's the thing that people need to understand.
Clive and Bundy.
I hear a lot of. They think, it's just me.
It's because you're black.
Who knows? I grew up a middle class white kid, and most of my encounters with local police were all negative, really negative.
Well,
and
yeah,
I hear black
by
folks
the way,
say
Joe dresses like he has money and he drives a freaking Cadillac, and still he gets hassled.
I was a kid. I was like a 13-year-old kid. And I hear black people say, I hate to have to tell my kid that that they shouldn't run or that they should be respectful to the police. And my parents had that conversation with me every single time. And guess what? I still ran afoul of the law for doing nothing many, many times and walked away feeling humiliated, walked away feeling like I had been, in some way, something negative had happened to me. And I am not black. It was just
I'm hoping this is the beginning of the end of that.
Yeah.
The pendulum swinging back.
Right. And Joe, it's not a situation, and I'm not saying that you're directing that towards me.
Well, I know I look threatening. Is the thing.
Definitely. I had to clutch my wallet looking at you
like a gangster.
I wore eyeglasses previously though too, so you can imagine me with the specs at 13,
oh man, you were
14
definitely
years
a
old.
threat to my yes.
You look like Rick Perry with those glasses.
Oh God, the reptilian. The thing is, I'm not.
How's he doing?
Arrested.
Yeah.
No.
The thing is,
nice
that
mugshot, though.
I'm not saying it's exclusively.
He always looks good.
It's not exclusive to black people, But you have a YouTube, some YouTube footage that I witnessed where a Caucasian went down the list of things that he didn't have to do upon a police officer coming up to him like, well, I don't have to do that. I mean, the law says, he goes down the book of the law of what he doesn't have to do, and the officer complied. Do you have a firearm on you? Yes, I do. Well, try not going after it, because then I would feel threatened. Now, when the black woman tried to do that,
right,
he pulled on the window. She pulled up the window.
Right.
He broke the window and pulled her out of it.
Sure.
Now, that's an extreme case of it. But 9 times out of 10, that's what you're going to go through. Yes, you're going to feel embarrassed. Yes, you're going to feel a certain type of way towards that. But when it gets to a situation where I'm not even human to you anymore, I am the perp, that's when it's a problem.
Prior to the first interaction.
Right.
And I totally understand. And that's the thing that I think white people can never understand is what it's like to be identified from 100 feet away.
Right.
As something.
Right.
As anything. And that was not happening to me with these. They encountered me and decided to be pricks.
You're an
at that time.
They just looked at you and they was like,
true.
You know, no offense. They were just looking at you. Oh, look at this young punk.
Let's make him
right.
Fear the badge for the rest of his
make
life.
him sweat for a little
problem.
bit.
As Carlos Miller
Good
of
job.
photographyisnotacrime.com, who is I don't want to say way ahead of his time, because he identified an issue and and he was actually a photographer, working photojournalist who was arrested for no reason for doing his job by the police department, and then started this blog, photographyisnotacrime.com, to memorialize these incidents from all over the country, which happened. He has no dearth of material, unfortunately. That's why when Eric Holder refers to extraordinary circumstances in Ferguson, I have to humbly disagree, because unfortunately this is all too common, and he, as the top cop in the country, and a black man no less, hasn't done a damn thing about it. I'm just hashtag just saying, as the kids say. But more importantly, is this idea that Carlos says, it's no longer, I'm paraphrasing, it's no longer protect and serve, it's now comply or die.
You will comply
or die.
You will comply.
But by the way, some
comply
orders
quickly, because a lot of these people, and I'm watching all these videos, they're complying not fast enough. They're complying. They're complying. Like
Mike
people
Brown did
getting
not comply.
shot in the back. There was another
That's why
video.
he is dead. He did not comply. They said, get out of the street. He said, I'm almost to my destination. If he'd have just said, okay, and gotten on the sidewalk.
As you say, we don't know exactly what went down in the street.
And you know what? To go back to what you were saying, Joe.
That's not a shootable offense. You should not be able to shoot somebody because they're not obeying you.
We don't know what happened.
This is what I'm dealing with these anonymous, sad, lonely Twitter thugs, these Twitter trolls. Where they're like, did you see him in that strong arm robbery? Which, by the way, might not have been a strong arm robbery. Now they're saying it's possible he paid for that stuff and then got into like a disagreement with.
Right.
But again, getting back to your point that
Perception
we don't actually know
reality.
what the hell went down. And so anyway, but a strong arm robbery, which we then also discovered that the officer who stopped him didn't even know about the strong arm robbery.
But how convenient that the footage came out when the identity of the officer came out.
It was totally released to besmirch the kid's reputation.
What people in America don't seem to understand is that not every crime is a capital offense, number one. And a strong arm robbery, I've been a victim of a strong arm robbery. Okay, not every crime carries the death penalty, number one. And number two, the way that we carry out sentences in this country is not with a cop in the street.
Right.
Without a judge or a jury
we have
or
a
a
system
lawyer.
for that.
Of course.
We specifically disallow the cop from meting out justice. We have a justice system, and we have judges and prosecutors because we remember, supposedly, back to the American Revolutionary days, we remember when the king and the king's guard were judge, jury, and executioner right there on the street, and we decided as a society that you, the enforcement officer, do not have the authority to mete out justice. The penalty doesn't come from you. You're not the judge. You're just supposed to apprehend and put him in a box, and then we, society, will judge.
Cop fired a shot, supposedly, if that is true, as the kid running
gun,
away.
they have the gun to defend themselves.
The minute he did that, he went from a cop to a vigilante.
The lethal shot went into the top of his head.
And he's 6'4".
Here's the problem. Is that.
And they're saying he would, though, that's his charging position. I'm sorry, he's not the Hulk or the Thing.
Oh, wait
I've been watching a lot of
you
don't charge someone with head down.
This is where I spend a lot of time with a lot of people hearing a lot of opinions about these things. I'm going to regurgitate some of those opinions, and they're not necessarily my opinion. I'm going to get what you guys think about these opinions, okay?
Right.
All right, first of all, the 6'4", 300-pound kid just putting his hands up and then just being gunned down out of anger and
I don't believe that it happened like that.
Do you believe that it happened like
No.
that?
Not at all.
Probably not. Okay.
No.
The kid has maybe just committed a strong arm robbery
That the cop didn't know about.
That the cop did not know about, or maybe he did get radioed just about it prior to while it was happening. So they say maybe,
might
maybe
never
not.
know.
But
Right.
the kid is walking down the middle of the street. He's obviously feeling it. He's 18. He's 298. He's 6'4", walking down the middle of the street with his new gotten gains, however he did it. And now a cop is messing with him. There's a little bit of a tussle. Could the kid have rushed the cop?
Hang on.
Could that have happened?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If
It could
if he
have.
was killed, shot and killed in the car, whatever occurred, we don't know, in the car, that might be one thing. The second he runs away, the threat is over.
Right.
So the cop, maybe as a frustrated human, said, F this kid.
I'm gonna just
gun
him
teach him
down."
a lesson,
Right.
just like 13-year-old Joe, just like you.
Maybe.
I'm gonna teach
Totally.
this kid. But by the way, then it's no longer a threat to your life. You can't.
But what if-
they're
I accept
training?
that.
Their training that we hear so much about
Right.
is supposed to neutralize that escalation.
situation.
I accept that, and that is my original assessment of this.
If that's what
situation.
happened, and I don't know.
Well, it's changing. It's constantly morphing because so is the information. But let's take a second.
But it's not, because
to
here's the
consider-
thing: he wasn't shot in the car. He was a distant, meaning that like he was
Right.
attempting whatever he was doing. He was attempting to get away.
Let's
Right.
consider
Right?
the
I mean-
potential bum rush story.
Okay.
Whether we agree
Let's
or
consider
disagree.
it.
You're the cop. All this has happened. Maybe the kid tried to grab your gun. Maybe he didn't. Maybe you just tried to open the door because you want him off the street. Who knows? But the kid then says, supposedly, "You're not going to shoot me," whatever, and makes a forceful move towards the cop. This kid is 6'4", 298. What do you do?
Right.
You
I've-
taser him.
I've heard
you
heard
pepper
that.
spray him. You take him down.
Right.
With your the idea that now everything
Execution.
you pull your gun.
And
How is it? What
execute.
kind of training? What kind of law enforcement peacekeeping
That's
training is that?
That's game hunting.
Right. Now, mind you, I'm not suggesting that this police officer has to take a hit, but isn't that why you're in that job?
Right.
In part, it's a dangerous job. Nobody
Right.
is. And again,
You weren't drafted. You volunteered for
Yeah.
it. You saw. Everybody knows that it's a dangerous job. You don't grow up in this society.
You can't just shoot everybody that takes a swing at you.
But see, you,
Right.
if you,
I mean, in Florida you can.
according to
Yeah,
the law,
definitely.
you can,
but not as a
if you
cop.
fear
Listen,
for
no,
your
in
life.
Florida, I can shoot you if you take a swing at me, but not if I'm a cop.
Here's the
No, you
problem.
have to
This
be
is the
a,
greater problem. This is why I say let's set
officer.
aside the
As a private
particulars of
citizen.
this
Private
case.
citizen.
Is that when cops put fear for your life down in a report, which videotapes come out later and prove
Right.
that those statements that in sworn legal reports are demonstrably false. There's no accountability. This is because
Well, there's
he
not.
knows I'm going to fire this gun and
Right.
I'm going to get away with it because statistically and historically that's going to occur. By the way,
Exactly.
if they can't get away with it, if there is accountability, then maybe they think twice before
Well,
shooting.
of course he would.
Before a gun being the
Right.
the sole and or first
There
answer
there
to their
needs to be. They can't be. I just shoot somebody and get away with it. every
Firearm
time.
instructors will tell you if you are entering into a situation where you feel like you might have to shoot this person. They will tell you on the QT, off to the side, quietly and not publicly, that it is best to shoot to kill. Because
Sure.
dead men tell no tales.
Dead men tell no tales, and they worked that.
What about the other shooting in
Thank
St.
God for the
Louis?
cameras now.
Very close. The kid who stole the two Cokes
The
and
honey
put them
bun,
down,
right.
and he's waiting, and the guys are saying, "Don't do it, man. This is not the way to do it." And the cops
Boom,
are
boom,
coming,
boom.
and he is obviously, in my opinion, trying to commit suicide by cop.
Yeah.
And he's coming at them, and he's like, "Shoot me, shoot me, shoot me!" And he rushes them, and they shoot
That
him.
was a sad thing.
What
to watch.
about those cops? Did they do the right thing?
Tase that
I
guy.
would
What's
say,
the taser
I would
for?
say, well, that's a serious conversation that we need to have about mental health.
Right,
in
sure.
This country.
But they don't know
Police
that, though. They know a guy's running at him
yeah,
saying,
but police escalate
Dude,
those types of
That,
situations.
you saw the video.
unfortunately.
You saw that video.
But that, yeah, I saw it. I
That
saw
guy
it.
was obviously batshit. And the cops were like, that guy's crazy. That guy's crazy. You tase that guy. I mean,
Right.
come on.
Right.
I mean, come on. That was
Hang on.
sad. That broke my
Orlando.
heart.
Let's talk about Orlando.
No dash
because
cams,
there's a
by
case
the way.
every day. Orlando. The
Cameras everywhere.
A
That's it.
Absolutely.
A
Yeah.
nightclub. Hang on. A nightclub in downtown Orlando. First of all, Orlando spent between I don't know how they don't have these exact figures, but between $8,000 and $17,000 per camera for a series of IRIS, IRIS. It's an acronym. I don't know what it stands for. In downtown Orlando, they won't tell people where they are because it actually once nearly caught a man allegedly smoking pot. This camera did.
Ooh.
I know. Saints preserve us. Clutch your pearls.
Yeah.
And just
Amendment
just
2.
a couple days
I'm
ago.
clutching them now.
Just a couple days ago. There was a nightclub in downtown Orlando called the police because they said we have a gun-wielding maniac. Okay? There was a guy, they threw him out of the club. He wanted to get back in. He was apparently brandishing a weapon. The police respond. He was gesturing towards his pants. White guy, by the way. I guess I should establish that.
Yeah, please.
He was gesturing towards his pants.
He's innocent.
He was gesturing towards his pants. Nobody actually, none of the officers thus far reported seeing a gun. Gesturing towards his pants, an officer fires 9 times, kills a 22-year-old woman who was just standing nearby. Okay, the man didn't fire. Oh, also an officer I think was hit, but the man didn't fire. The suspect didn't fire his weapon. They did apparently recover a gun though from his belt or from his pants. He's okay. I think he was hit, the suspect, but is recovering in the hospital. They shot and killed an innocent 22-year-old woman. The media went, oh, let's put in a sunshine law request, a Chapter 119 request for the Iris security camera video that the taxpayers have spent so much money on that caught this guy a couple of years ago allegedly smoking weed. The cameras have been broken. And have not been working for some time, weeks or months. No one can say for sure. And while they did capture the guy allegedly smoking weed on the street 2 years ago, it missed the police shooting and killing a innocent 22-year-old woman outside of a nightclub.
Those type of things is what will enrage the masses.
I'm getting Google glasses.
Nobody gets enraged in Florida, though. Nobody gets enraged.
No,
in
I'm just
Florida.
talking about everybody,
right?
not just Florida. I mean abroad. I mean the whole thing in Ferguson. To go back to what you were talking about, I stood back as far as making a move on it because it still is relatively fresh. It happened on a Saturday. People started looting on Sunday and Monday.
It's the Lord's Day.
Yeah. As George told me, well, as I told George before you got here, it was just a situation where I think it's a boiling point, the pendulum situation where, you know what, I know what the outcome is going to be. I know what you're going to tell me. Oh, you weren't paying attention. You didn't see it correctly. It was the guy smoking weed.
I saw Do the Right Thing.
It was, yeah.
By the way, there's a heat wave coming to Missouri now, to St. Louis, which can't. All I keep thinking about is Spike with that metal trash can right through the plate glass window of Danny Aiello's pizza shop. That's all. But this is the point that I'm getting at. Yeah. It's like, who cares about the particulars of this case?
Right.
When you have a community that's on a stove,
right,
and the heat gets turned up and turned up and turned up and turned up, eventually the water boils over.
And the advent of social media. And the other thing that's been here longer than social media, the voice, the art of speech, the way that you can manipulate your words and say it a certain way. Well, the law actually stated it's this, that, and the third instead of that, third, and the third. I mean, it's those little things there that, okay, we see the obvious. But no. Under Section 5489, he actually had a reason to do that, and that's really the thing that infuriates.
That's what I said. If it's by the book, then don't we need to look at the book?
The people there, and this is where the big divide is, because it is my estimation that white people in America don't feel the same way as black people in America about many, many, many different things.
What gave off that impression?
Exactly. And they both feel strongly about the information they're receiving, so nobody can tell each other to totally switch to their opinion. Here's what white people have been saying that I have heard, that I'm going to put out there on the table. It's very uncomfortable stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Here it goes. This is a conversation. Ready?
Ready.
One. However many young black males that were shot and killed in that region of the country or every terrible neighborhood, the overwhelming majority of those are shot by other young black males.
We already had this conversation.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's
put
what
this baby to bed.
That's what white people are saying.
Uh-huh.
They're saying, the first thing they say is, the looting. You guys know about that. The looting. Why are they destroying their own neighborhood? Why are they destroying their own business? They got a business. This guy has worked real hard. He's got a business in the neighborhood. They're going to go burn it down. That'll solve us. And this is what people don't understand. That is the first thing they go to, and they are not hearing any what they would call viable explanation as to why those things are not addressed. Why you don't want. This is what they say. Again, these are not necessarily my opinions. These are opinions that I'm hearing in mass from people.
Absolutely.
I've seen
you don't
the
want
comments.
the cops and the police militarization, everyone has the choice of not committing crime or committing crime every day of their lives. They can choose to not commit crime.
Yeah, but
first of all,
now answer those questions.
We did.
Understanding.
Let's do
the Cliff Notes. Rapid.
First of all,
go.
I don't
Go, Billy.
freestyle, but I'm trying to think of which issue to deal with first. First, there's the issue of
black
on black violence. That the vast majority of black crime victims or murder victims are killed by other black perpetrators or suspects. Absolutely. By the way, who has to deal with that and face that every day? Black people do. In their neighborhoods. And what the hell are we doing about it? What the hell are the police actually doing to protect and serve? They're going in there and killing unarmed black men.
I have a theory that black people don't want to be killed by other black people.
Yeah, that's kind of...
So it's easy for white people to
I'm
say...
going on a limb here, not being black.
It's easy for white people to say, oh, well, you're all killing each other. It's like, well, what the hell are we doing
and it feels great for you to stand up there on your person.
You know, Bernie Madoff, he didn't rip off other rich people.
No, he didn't.
Either.
No, it was the black people. It was the black people in Liberty City, right? That's
just because you're the same ethnicity doesn't make you immune to people from your own ethnicity.
Here's I think the most. This gets a little
who
philosophical.
are assholes.
This gets a little philosophical, but I
assholes do not discriminate. They're assholes
to everybody.
They would bring up percentages. They would say, "What about the don't snitch rule?"
You're comparing
like, hey, the cops come
up.
It's
irrelevant. Let's talk about that. No. Let's talk about that. I just read an article about the Miami police.
I'll let Billy go and I'll answer all your questions.
I just read an article about the Miami police are frustrated in solving inner city crime because of the no snitch culture.
Right.
Guess what? There is no more poisonous, toxic, detrimental to society, no snitch culture than that in the police department.
Sure.
Because everybody,
the fraternal attitude,
because every cop knows who the bad cops are.
The blue line.
And they can't
Amen,
do
brother.
anything about it.
Amen,
they can't
brother.
do anything about it because they get the whistleblowers get victimized. They get
right.
fired. They
I
get
saw
shouted
Serpico.
down.
I watched Serpico.
It's me.
I know Pacino.
Serpico. You know.
Well, hey.
So what do you think's more? Here's my point. Here's my point. Can you blame black people with the no snitch culture who don't trust the police? First of all, you and I, we don't even want to get involved.
I don't want to trust the police.
If we were witnesses to a crime, we'd be like, I didn't see shit, and slam the door. Who wants to get involved? Well, who wants to get into the system?
Right.
You don't want. I don't ever have to go to the criminal courthouse again to testify as a witness, a defendant, nothing. It is so unpleasant.
I will.
Once you're
it would be
system.
horrible and annoying, though.
Yeah,
but listen. Of course, I would if I was. But we.
You don't want to.
Our instinct is to go. Shit, I don't want to get involved with the police for anything.
And that goes back to what I was telling you about, the people that you're speaking on behalf of. I'm asking you to look at the human aspect of it. Fuck the black part about it. Just look at the human aspect.
It was the black guy that said that.
Yeah.
You're right.
What a stat.
They can see.
That's why we have video.
It's called SoFlo Radio. It's not called SoFlo Video.
Many people are just listening.
Right. But you have to look at it just from the aspect of.
Well, Jack sounds black.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
From just the human aspect.
A little bit.
From what I mean by that is that the no snitch thing.
I overtip.
If I say something, if I'm on Channel 7 News and say, yeah, the cop did this, that, and the third, he was Officer Jenkins or Officer Perez or Officer Johnson, and he said this, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. You know what? They're going to get all my information. Who was that? Oh, that was Jack Frost. Okay, blah, blah, blah.
It's not
it's going to look like an enemy of the state situation, but for some reason, you always get pulled over since you did that. For some reason, you always are being bothered or harassed.
By the way, I want to put this quote out there. It's a great Enda Buchanan quote.
Absolutely something to worry about.
It's
definitely.
There's no greater human than a good cop, and no worse creature than a bad one. Okay, which I think is true because people with pure motives who get into that business to protect and serve. I know a lot of cops. They're some of the best people that I know. Honestly, some of the most honest, sincere, trustworthy people that I know. So we've been kind of painting everybody in the same way, by the way, that Fox News paints all black people with the same brush. I feel like I don't want to make it seem like we're painting all police officers with the same brush. But here's the problem I was getting at. It's that the system that exists has no accountability for the bad cops. The unions are basically in place to protect to keep the bad cops in the job. Look in the city of Miami. 7 unarmed black men shot in about a span of months. No riots, no nothing. Very quietly. It takes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years to investigate these. Then they very quietly get closed as justifiable homicides. The officers are back on the street. Nobody says nothing. They finally, the 7th cop who shot the 7th unarmed black kid, they fire him because they found it was unjustifiable. 3 years ago. He just, through mediation, through the union, got his job back and 3 years of back pay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay?
I saw the story.
The Miami Beach police officer pees in a cup, has a random drug test positive for cocaine. He goes into mediation. He says, I never knowingly done cocaine.
Oh,
but,
that was the one with
but
his
a buddy,
girlfriend?
But an old Cuban friend of mine handed me a pink jar with penis cream because I was experiencing erectile dysfunction, and I put this penis cream on, and it must have had cocaine in it because whenever someone hands you a jar with a mysterious cream, you put it on your penis when you don't know what's in it.
You read the nutritious facts.
He got his job back.
I thought I was the only one.
He got his job back and $80,000 in back pay.
Oh,
wow!
Come on, his heart. But this is the point is that like even the
I want to know if the penis cream works.
This
though.
is the toughest thing about public corruption, and it's not just police; it's public corruption.
Right.
It's mayors, it's bureaucrats. When there's no accountability, the damage that does to a community, to a society, and it makes the job of good cops more dangerous because the relationship and the trust between the police and the community deteriorates, and then everybody's in great.
Which we're living right now. So let me ask you this, and this is it's funny because these are the conversations I'm having with everybody that I know right now.
Well, now they have
Isn't that amazing?
Everyone is having this conversation.
By the way, that's the effect of the riots. When you say what good is the rioting done, it's forcing this. Unfortunately, it's forcing this conversation.
Okay, we're all really good at figuring out what the problems are.
Yes.
Yep.
In 3 hours.
But what are the solutions? If there is a policy prescription that could happen, what is it? to solve each of these problems.
It's not that difficult. Sweetwater doesn't need a fucking tank. Okay? Numero uno.
Yeah.
Right. Numero uno.
Uno.
All right?
Uno, really.
Sweetwater.
I'm sorry.
Sweetwater, bro.
Sweetwater. By the way, funny story. I'm shooting a Cocaine Cowboys sequel,
Bro.
and I'm driving around with this notorious drug smuggler who's taking us on like his drug smuggling tour of Miami, and we're driving at Miami and by Florida International University.
Sweetwater.
Florida International University para inglés marque número 8. So we're driving, and I'm like, why don't we grow? We're kind of contemplating the route that we're taking, and he's like, oh no, bro, no, we don't drive through there. That's Sweetwater. The cops are too corrupt.
Sweetwater.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
A fucking drug smuggler.
Right.
He's like, no, always. He goes,
Who
never.
ought to know?
He said, we never drive through Sweetwater. Never. Like back in the day or today, cops are too corrupt. What were the police doing in Sweetwater? Well, the mayor was the co-owner of a towing company. The arrested mayor, the now arrested mayor, by the feds, not by the county, because we can't police our own public officials in public corruption cases. He co-owned a towing company that had the contract conspired with the police department to steal people's cars, to tow them, then make the process to get them back so onerous and expensive, or can't get calls back, that they would sell the car, either use the cars for personal use or sell the cars. So they were legally, the mayor and the police department were stealing citizens' cars for their own profit and gain.
Right.
And by the way, no one's been arrested for that. When I said the mayor got arrested, no one's been arrested for what I just told you.
You can sweep that under the rug with what George was saying about Florida. That's the piracy part of Florida. Okay? But as far as the other atrocities that you were talking about, or just the discussions that you were saying, that is just a matter of, like you said, those people not experiencing what a person like myself will see. Like, I walk down the street, and I'm just having a good Friday. But I'm looked at as...
Or good Yontif, as we say.
Yeah.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's looked at as...
Have a season Pesach.
That you're probably bothered by the fact that I'm here. What are your intentions? Why are you here? Well, I'm just here to do what you're doing, which is have a good time. You know, but in your mind, because of the hair or whatever, just the skin, period.
Angry black.
Yeah. He has angry black man syndrome. I heard somebody.
By the way, I'm an angrier black than you are today.
Yeah, I bet
You're too calm as far as I'm.
Yeah,
you're not militant enough.
I get that a lot. No,
you're
because
way too chill.
No,
yes on amendment. Hashtag vote yes on amendment 2.
Yeah. Hashtag Ferguson.
Right.
Yeah.
Jack's perspective is like, oh yeah, here people getting up and shaking their fists and everything, and nothing's going to change. He's been
Jack's
through the
mellow black
cycle
man.
several times.
Yeah.
And every time, and I'm starting to empathize a little bit because, we don't know what it's like to be black, obviously. But I've seen the cycle enough times to see every time that I see the public getting up in arms over something like a Trayvon, we like to fool ourselves into thinking that something is going to change, but then it doesn't, and here we go again with another incident, and then we all look at each other and go, well, I thought we fixed it.
My girlfriend always said, whenever we see some horrible thing happening on some part of the world, she always says to me, she has this like realist empathy. She goes, how did we get so lucky that we were born here. 'Cause
I
you don't get
agree.
to choose your parents.
I say that all the
He said,
time.
how do we get so lucky to be born here that we're not these unfortunate souls and
Right,
and I think the same thing. And I'm just like, I can't help that I'm white. I didn't choose it. I didn't choose
Right.
my parents. I didn't choose.
Right.
I can't
Hashtag
help
blessed.
it. I can, yeah, but
Yeah.
but that's
For
the
real.
thing is that like I feel like thank God, because my life could be so much harder.
Well,
You know,
Dude,
I mean, it's disgusting.
You're just talking about being white. I'm glad I'm in Florida instead of Chicago.
Absolutely.
It's all relative.
Yeah, and so it's like it's really a situation of shit upon shit upon
We
shit.
are
You
in
could
a-
be white and in Russia.
We're in a
You know?
time right now where
Probably
we
still
have
living
social
better.
media.
or worse, blacking in Russia.
The,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
negative
No.
stuff.
or
is-
gaying in Russia.
Oh my god.
Damn.
The negative stuff is so easy to spread and to share, and it just seems like there's so much negativity coming from everyone. Oh, the president is a communist, and he's black from Kenya, and we hate this, and everything. We're collapsing our country. Everything is horrible. But the reality is that things could be a whole lot worse. Just look everywhere else.
Sure.
And we have
That
to
doesn't mean
balance
that we
with,
can't
we
improve.
want to make things better than what they are already, but we have covered a lot of ground, and it's almost a miracle, judging by everybody else, that we have achieved what we have achieved so rapidly. Like, it wasn't long ago where black folks were segregated.
Right.
It wasn't long ago where black folks were enslaved, like on the overall timeline, 150 years. That's not that long. There are like
Right.
soccer clubs that have been around that long.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this documentary. I've recently received.
Did I direct it?
No.
No, I don't know.
You don't know it. It's called Hidden Colors, and it goes in depth. It's basically the History Channel in this documentary of the Moors, the people of color.
Yes.
You know, not to use the black term or whatever, but it's just the history of the contribution.
Assholes invaded Spain. I know all about them.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Italy
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
and they did.
Well, they didn't
so
invade Montana,
much
George.
banging.
Yeah.
So relax.
They
We
changed
don't
the
have beef with
bloodline
them.
forever.
But with that, the information that was given, it's very empowering in knowing that, oh, okay, I wasn't just a cotton picker or a sugarcane cutter in Haiti or something like that. There was more contribution made to us as human beings as a whole. They have instances within that documentary where it's more slotted from the opinion of the person speaking, right? But it's on you as the person viewing it to have an objective look on it and see.
I want to address this. It could be worse issue though, because that to me infers complacency. We are better connected. We are better informed. We have access to more information. Sometimes more accurate. Sometimes not on
Can
the
be
Twitter. I
more.
get it. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes it's just more. Sometimes it's not always more accurate. I get that. But there are things that we should be outraged about. Is the bottom line.
Without a doubt.
We can't sit around and just say, "Well, shit could be worse." I mean, which is really what people in power want us to do. Like, yeah, but look, come on, Obamacare that fixed everything, right? It's like, wait, I think that's the bone that George.
That's
by the way,
it's a very small. It's a very small version of the bone that we were going for. It was supposed to be universal health care.
I'm
like every
circumcised.
other,
I can't help it.
every
It's a
other
small version.
Every time it was supposed to be universal health care, like every other modern country has. Every European country, every civilized nation.
You can only get done what the most angry amongst you will allow to happen in America, and that's
The whole thing.
Like that example, the fact that we
were
got
going for
the
cheap
Affordable
insurance.
Care
That wasn't the thing. Cheap insurance. That wasn't what
I
it
say.
was.
The word miracle. Miracle is obviously different, but how did that even happen when every president, from FDR to Harry Truman, they tried to do
Hillary
something?
Clinton.
They could not.
Yeah.
President Clinton.
She tried.
They
Hillary
could
did try.
not accomplish it, and something was able to get through. Is it perfect? Is it great? Is it really? No, but it's what they were able to accomplish when no one else could accomplish it.
You want to know
You're so glass half full.
Yeah, really.
I am. I try to be.
You want to know
I
the
am.
analogy I give to that? That is the
And
equivalent.
I'm getting and my healthcare bill went from $400 a month to $250.
Awesome.
And my copays went down $25.
You benefited from it. So you're
I
a
knew
fan.
as an independent business person, and not a member of a pool.
Right.
I knew from the very beginning that the exchanges were going to help me.
Yeah.
And they did.
Which is great, and plus you're HIV positive, so it really it couldn't come at a better time.
I was unaware of that.
And then there's that. And then there's that.
I have some calls to make.
But the equivalent of that is, I would say that's like somebody being in the Sahara, haven't had a drop of anything to drink, and you bringing very ice cold urine to them. And they're like, finally.
You're comparing the Affordable Care Act to urine.
Well, look, I'm comparing it to finally iced urine.
Right.
The reason is that, okay, we've had all these presidents, all these, that's kind of like what Billy was saying. Well, it could be worse. Well, at least we have this. You know, it's like
they eat the sand because they don't know the difference.
Well,
It might
I
be a
hate-
mirage.
Or in
hate to
Haiti,
make a
they eat
sports analogy
mud pies.
because,
Mud
you know,
cookies and mud
let's
pies.
make it a
Let's sports analogy, but the other side is trying to stop you from scoring. They're working really hard to not only to prevent the Affordable Care Act, but they're working hard to take away Social Security.
I don't buy
to
it.
change
I don't buy it.
Medicare.
What if they're both on the other
I don't
side?
buy. They're both
Tell you.
obstructionists. They're
Right.
both. This is political.
But they
It's
have
theater.
their views that they believe
Dude,
in,
they-
and
okay,
they're
in this
trying to
country-
actuate their views, which are the opposite of what a liberal Democrat would think, which is government can make things better. They believe in self-reliance. You want health care? You pay for it.
Now, in America, we love nothing more than choices. We want to walk into a gun store that only just has handguns. We want automatic weapons, we want you wouldn't walk into a gelato place or an ice cream parlor on Hollywood if it had less than 20, 30 flavors to choose from. Now, you're only going to eat one or two or maybe
You
three
just
of
want
them.
the thought
but
of
you want
having
you want
options.
but yet we still have a two-party system in this country. How the hell is that possible?
Well,
and all we're doing, and
it
it's
is
a
what it
bullshit
is.
game, though.
Here,
Nobody does anything
England
for
has
us.
like what 20? What, how many
Well,
part-
look at what that. But the reality is the
ass-slapping
reality.
party.
Ralph Nader.
I don't believe in parties.
Ralph Nader made a move in 2000, and a whole bunch of people voted for him. Hey, Ralph Nader, we're going to do it. We're going to vote.
I voted
on
for
our-
Ross Perot.
I did too. The first time.
It was
Party
the first
system,
time I
man.
was able
You're-
to.
how old are you?
I'm 36.
All right, I'm 41. Captured the imagination of that young group that we can break free of the
This
two-party
crazy old
situation.
Texan billionaire. He was awesome.
Yes, he was.
With the big ears.
We need to stop talking about it and start doing it.
Do.
Let me show you some charts.
Roll up our sleeves. We
I
got
love the
charts here.
charts.
Here's some charts.
More charts. I want more charts.
Because here was a guy trying to educate America on what the situation was, right or wrong, better or worse.
Right.
He was trying.
The reality is that if you vote outside of the two-party system, I hate to say it, it's a cliche. Your vote is wasted.
It's a protest vote. I disagree. It's
Gave us George W. Bush.
As long as you vote,
The product of
as
it.
long as you vote, you are not wasting your vote. What I think is pathetic when we have 8% voter turnout. That's what I think is pathetic.
Yeah.
Okay. Low.
People
low to
died.
Mid, to maybe
People
high
died
single
for the
digit.
right.
There are people all over the world who would die today for that right.
All you
and
have to
people
do
don't vote.
is
Well, they're
call-
not in America.
America.
It's my right not to vote.
America.
That's how free
my
I
choice.
am. I can.
Right.
That's the only choice I believe
I don't
that
have to-
Americans should have the freedom.
I don't have to
And
vote. I
guns,
kiss
but
my
not
cousin
abortion.
every time I want.
None
But
of
I-
that. They're abortion.
But I will wear this flag lapel pin till the day I die.
Sure.
Because I'm an American.
I just don't think who's the third party. There isn't even a third party
See,
possibility.
the part-
It's
there
not
didn't
even-
used to be
disagree.
parties.
We're talking
There isn't
fantasy
until we
scenarios
start voting
here.
for
There
them.
didn't used to
And
be
you scare the
parties.
shit out of the party.
Think about the party system came later as politicians said, you know what? I'll promote, you got an agenda, I have an agenda. I'll vote for the things that you're like after, and that it started with two people. I forget what it was. It was like in the 1800s. There were no political parties. And that's not, so there shouldn't be political parties. Every candidate should just come out and say, here's what I believe, here's where I stand on the following issues. Ask them a bunch of questions. Abortion, trickle up or trickle down. Here's where I stand on a whole bunch of issues. And no parties. And if two politicians are seen speaking to each other, they should be
And these
smacked.
things are so scandalous when, he's breaking with his party. He's breaking with his president. It's like, no, because he's an individual who believes what he believes in, has his own unique
and the
ideology.
justice system has been turned into a game, and everybody
We are
stands on the
some
sideline.
angry white
and
motherfuckers.
cheerleader. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And Jack,
I'm the only calm one
no
here.
parties.
Picture the oxymoron.
No, I'm with
Listen,
you.
Yeah.
collusion
I'm on the
collusion
All right, brother.
between politicians should be illegal, and campaign contributions are legalized graft. Tell me how they're not. No campaign contributions, no political parties.
Whoa,
Govern-
you're restricting my speech. What if I want to spend my hard-earned money on
that is
political
not. That
stuff?
is not.
Whoa, that's
that
my
is
right.
not. That,
But-
by the
So
way,
says the
by the way,
Supreme
because let me tell you, let me address that.
wanna
Let me address
spend
that. That's a very good point.
saying
Because
that George Rodriguez should be
because
deported.
the First Amendment does not protect certain kinds of speech based on they're dangerous. You cannot say fire in a theater.
Nope.
I cannot announce right now that a tsunami is heading for South Florida. I can't.
You claim
There is a tropical storm
I
coming.
cannot incite a riot, and I cannot lie. So we have already deemed in our
You
society.
claim corrupting the political system is a clear and present danger. That's a compelling argument.
It is for the
out
you,
there, but
you
it's-
cannot false advertise. So it is the opposite of democracy. Because and let me lay it out right there. If we live in a democracy, if this is a democracy, a representative form of government, one person, one vote. If there is a connection between power and money, then it is not a democracy. because that person with the money will have more of a voice than the person without the money. So that's not a democracy, because we're talking about minorities. We've been talking about minorities today. The smallest minority is the billionaire.
I got to take Joe's devil's advocate position here. It's like in a free market system, though.
That's the market.
You have the ability to earn more money,
but that's
or
the
work
market.
your way up and live the American dream.
I only get one vote. I go vote. I vote my vote, and then I buy a bunch of signs.
The market,
people have the freedom to read or not read the signs and agree or
and
disagree.
Joe wants to sell his Cadillac to get more money to buy more signs.
To piss off cops and pull them over.
Or go stand on a corner and get
Can
people
I take
to sign
out an
up.
ad that says you're an asshole?
I think you can.
No,
actually, it might not be. Well,
but
in opinion,
if
yes,
you're a
but no, you
public
can't say
figure-
that he has HIV, which I did,
Right.
which is not
You're a
true.
public
but yeah, that you
Allegedly.
can't do.
You're making those calls after
That
the
you
show.
can't do.
Allegedly, you can say allegedly.
Allegedly.
If power is available for the purchase, then it is not a democracy. Then we do not live in a democracy.
And
If
the Constitution
if
should
you can
protect
purchase power, if you can purchase power, then this is not a democracy. We are owned by the powerful, by the wealthy. Period. If you can purchase. We have laws against what you can purchase. You can't purchase. You can't purchase drugs, and you can't purchase a tank. You can just be given one. We already have laws that limit what you can say. We already have restrictions on speech, and we have restrictions on what you can purchase. And I deem, as a citizen and as a taxpayer, that the purchase of power, illegal. That you should, because if you can purchase power, only the powerful will own it.
Let's assume that
only the wealthy will own it.
I think that they're Hispanic there. He's kind of catching on.
I like what you're saying.
He's finally
George.
starting.
I like what you're saying. But making that opinion a
him up.
reality is going to require a couple of things.
Sure.
Making that opinion a reality is going to require a president and a Congress that will confirm a new Supreme Court justice in place of whichever conservative elects to retire first to change their recent ruling. How is that going to be accomplished? Who's going to accomplish it? And it's the Democratic Party believes what you think, generally. Your boy Bernie Sanders.
Bernie is not a Democrat.
He's an independent socialist.
Right.
Campaign, severe restrictions on financing of campaigns. Public
Sure.
fines, mandatory public fines. Everybody gets $200,000 or something.
It's the purchase of power.
Period.
Graft. We have laws against graft. That's already there. All right. All you need to do is clarify the definition.
Making it happen is the hard work.
If you make a
politics.
campaign contribution to a candidate, which he will spend on advertising, which is freedom of speech, you make a campaign contribution to a candidate. How is that candidate not going to be beholding to you and your interests?
Well, see, it's not even to the candidate. It's actually your own super PAC that me and Bill created about to do whatever we want.
To deport George.
Deport George. George deport PAC.
Fuck you people. I hope you're deporting me. I hope you're deporting me to Yak, Montana.
Yeah. We can.
For sure. That's home,
back.
baby.
Call
That's
back.
home. Yeah.
For sure.
We can rally against anything we want with our dollars.
Well,
according to
here's the
new
thing.
laws.
Here's the thing that's beautiful and ugly about America all at once. You have a situation where, like I said about the Republicans and Democrats, Bloods and Crips, the same act is being done as far as something that is a detriment to the masses. Oh, they have a cute little donkey that's blue. Oh, they have a cute little elephant that's
It's a
red.
massive, strong elephant versus
Right.
a cute little weak duck.
The red and blue is
We're
wrong.
talking about my penis again.
It's red and blue.
The thing about us is, as Americans, we love packages. We love things that are just, oh, that's so cute. Obama, change, this, that, and the third. He's with it. He's in the Twitter. He has a BlackBerry.
His smile. He's smiling.
Whoa. Why's it got to be a BlackBerry?
Hey, he's black. The thing is that
Half.
like Eddie said, Eddie Murphy. The thing is that half. The thing is
The fact
that
that you didn't think we knew Eddie Murphy is a little offensive. He said Eddie.
No, it
Eddie-
wasn't for
Eddie
you.
Murphy.
It wasn't for you. It's for the people that
It's a
you
little-
said that you were speaking on behalf of.
I get
They're
it.
listening to us. So anyway, the point is that us as Americans, we love packages. We love things that are with a nice little logo, the trademark logo there, with a nice slogan and stuff like that. And that's what really puts us in a position of not really moving forward because we're so caught up. I had a conversation with somebody talking about this generation that's following me is swagged out, black, white, indifferent, whatever, purple. It's all about swag. It's all about perception, selfie, this, that, and the third. You add that to this Ferguson thing, we don't have much to stand on, and that's really putting us as a country in a bad situation of moving forward because now there is no substance. It's just Trayvon, I put my hoodie on.
I hate to be that guy, but this whole show has kind of gone that way. But like
does that.
if anybody
always goes that way.
If anybody believes in this hope and change bullshit, because anybody who is in power is not interested in changing anything.
For what?
Because that means that's then them relinquishing
They're
said
not.
power. And once you get power, all
Indeed.
you want is to either preserve it or
Right.
grow it. And we've seen that with
Indeed.
Republicans
Amen.
who are supposed to be small government. I learned in civics class. They're like small federal government or states.
Right.
Every president has been
Thomas
exactly
Jefferson.
the same.
It goes
the
back
first
to what
one.
I was telling you as far as
Small government for big business.
the manipulation.
That's
The manipulation of the English text.
That's all.
It's a situation where, yes, there is hope and change. I hope you dumb motherfuckers continue to believe what I'm telling you.
I have a question.
I hope the change that I'm
See,
going to implement on
when
you
did public
works.
when did the public sector though become the dream gig in this country? When did that become? When did suddenly people have a right to a public
Right.
sector
It should
job
not be.
and never get fired
Public
from it and
service-
make a shit ton of money?
Right.
It used to be like that was public service. Right. It's not public service anymore. Now it's like the best scam feeding at the public
Well,
trough.
it's the
is like
ultimate
the
network.
scheme.
It's the
This-
ultimate networking
Oh, yeah.
opportunity.
This-
you
the-
meet the best people when you can say you're a representative
Or a
federal
congressman
government.
or a-
First of all, you
But
get
then
health care
but
for
then
life.
you go on.
City
But then you go.
councilman,
But then if
whatever.
you then go on to work in the private sector, all of those companies are completely subsidized by the public sector.
Right,
What I'm
right.
saying is like, when did that happen? It used to be the point of Pride was I'll do my public service when I'm young, and then I'll go and be an entrepreneur, a business, and go into the private sector.
Public
and contribute-
service should
and
not be an
contribute to this
avenue
country.
to wealth.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's the opposite. Public service should be reserved for people who give a fuck about the service, not
There's no such
about
thing
the
as
public, not
by the way,
enriching themselves.
There's no such thing as public servants anymore.
You want to
It's
get
just
right.
It's just a good
Who
job.
told you that,
You
George?
want to get rich? Go buy a hot dog stand. Go open up a smoothie shop. Go into
Contribute-
business.
contribute
You want to be a
something to
public
America.
servant? Then that public service should involve some level of sacrifice. I've got the answer: full financial disclosure, financial transparency for public servants for life. Who would volunteer for that? Me.
Right.
And everyone else with a heart. And everyone else with a heart who gave a fuck.
As they say,
Well,
someone
unfortunately,
with
the
nothing
people
to
that
hide.
make those decisions
Just like,
don't
why
have
wouldn't
heart.
you submit to a police search or the TSA?
Lead
if you,
by
if, you, if you're not
lead
doing
by
anything
example.
wrong, if
Lead
you're
by
not
example.
doing anything wrong,
Right.
But we still have a constitution,
But
which
read your
gives a
emails.
certain inalienable.
The president-
But
The
I've
president's-
created
Right.
fear in you through 9/11. Which, you know, I have my opinions on that, but I've created a fear in you
Let's
and the
not- let's
masses.
not go
Yeah,
there.
We'll go there.
The
That's
people,
We'll
the
go
people
there.
in power.
That's the sequel.
That's some crazy.
Policymakers should not be
Cray,
immune to
cray.
their own policy. They should be the first people affected by their own policy.
100%.
If you believe that the minimum wage is a good wage,
And apply
then
it to you.
apply it to yourself.
Yes.
If you believe that getting your giblets searched at the airport is okay,
By the way,
then
I
apply-
cannot.
'cause they don't have
I
to.
cannot fathom if President Obama's daughters were subjected to what I'm subjected at
Right.
the airport when I fly.
Amen.
That would be a fucking law. In
Amen.
this country.
It would take
It's
that.
sexual assault.
The makers
plain
of
and
policy
take
should be
that.
affected by
It
the
would take
policy
something like
first
that.
and foremost.
Deliberately, they deliberately carve themselves.
They
out
carve
of
themselves
these
out of
laws.
it.
It applies to. By
Right.
the way, it's what Nixon said. It's going back to because this is all just history repeating. When Nixon said, "When the president," he told David Frost, "When the president does it, that means it is not illegal." That's what every person in government believes.
And
Most
that's-
people in government. It's not just the president. It's congressmen. It's bureaucrats. It's
Yup.
police officers. When
Yup.
we do it, that means
And
it
what
is not
what
illegal.
is funny
That's
is
not
that-
what he said on
What is
X-Men.
funny, this is this opinion, whatever this is, if it is attached to a party or a label, I do not know. But this is what the Libertarians say. This is what the Tea Partists say. This is what you guys say. A lot of people say. I think this is something that everybody can agree with.
Guess what? I'm a registered independent. I'm not a
I am
Democrat or
as
Republican.
well. Me
too.
I'm an American.
That's three.
That's what I am. Not a Democrat,
That's
not a
four.
Republican. I'm an American. And I feel that I share. I'm sort of we're like a silent majority. I feel like we share, except for this truther craziness.
Speaking
I think
of
that
Nixon,
we share a
we
lot
are
of the
the silent
values. And,
majority.
I think that we share a lot of the values and the ideologies of most of Americans, but yet we're stuck in this system of people. I can't find a candidate that represents me.
No.
That represents what I think
The-
is sanity
the system-
and the vast majority of Americans.
The system prohibits it.
Right.
You have to be rich to be part of the system.
Yes,
At
you have
all.
to be a millionaire, not just rich.
50% of Congress is a millionaire,
Yeah.
and 1% of the American public
and the rest
is
of
a
them will be
millionaire.
by the time they're out of Congress.
Right.
Congress.
They'll get
Like
a
Hillary-
job as a
what did
lobbyist
Hillary
or a
Clinton say?
consultant.
We were broke
I could
when we
just be
left the White House.
speculating.
Hillary
I could just
Yeah.
be speculating here, right? The second term of Obama, the whole.
I'm so glad you started like building 3.
Yeah.
I'm just speculating here. But, the building
fell.
3, aka
It
the
was
Cray
off
Cray
the-
building.
The Cray Cray building.
It was
No,
off in
but
Sorry.
when is it? I forgot his Mitt Romney.
Yes.
When Mitt Romney
That guy.
was
That's
put up.
funny just in and of itself.
Yeah.
Just
When
a
they
punchline. Yeah.
no, when they put him up against Obama,
Yes.
he was the antithesis. Well, he was the
He's coming
opposite.
again, by the way. My personal prediction, get ready. Romney,
I
part
don't know
3.
what to know about his personal life.
Part 3.
Oh, that was spelled the clean way.
Oh,
You spelled
yes.
that the clean way?
Oh, the clean way,
Yes,
the
yes.
proper way.
Yeah.
The way that
on which sister wife?
The way.
What, too soon?
Too soon.
Yeah.
Mormon joke.
By the way, one of my favorite tweets, and it
I'm
got
glad you get Mormon jokes.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tweets, and it got like no love, is that during the Republican National Convention when Mitt Romney was accepting the nomination of his party,
Right.
I wrote I'm like, wow, HBO went big for the Big Love finale.
Listen, the Northwest. There's more, people
Mormons.
get Mormon jokes in the Northwest. They don't get them down here. How do you know if you're in a Mormon whorehouse?
How?
There are no ashtrays.
Oh, my God.
That's fabulous. That's just
Oh,
fabulous.
boy.
Okay.
The Mormons told me that. Anyway,
Get ready. I'm just saying.
Hey, some of my best friends are Mormon. My accountant's a Mormon.
I have Mormons in the family. I never met a Mormon I didn't like, and it's really, honestly,
That's
they're-
a hashtag black jokes.
Wonderful
Pay attention.
Oh my God!
people.
no,
Their wives are awesome too.
There was just an Onion headline, Onion article. It said Salt Lake City's trying to promote tourism with ad campaign that ensures people they're allowed to leave. I'm paraphrasing, like something like that.
I guess they were talking to the Utah Jazz basketball players. Utah Jazz basketball players. They're probably talking about them.
But you're saying, sorry.
No, but what I was saying with the whole Mitt Romney thing, I felt just from an aesthetic view. Okay, here's a guy with black Beijing hair. You know, he looks tan. He's everything that John McCain isn't. He looks healthy. He looks like he can live through his term. Let's vote for him until he opened his mouth. And that's really what, again, I don't look at things from a black and white, purely from a black and white standpoint. I'm looking at it from a sensible standpoint. Like, what are they doing? Oh, okay. Barack Obama, he's hip. The kids like him. All
Great
this stuff.
smile.
Yeah,
Great
great smile. He knows how to talk in pressure. He doesn't have a shred of anger towards
And what
the
condescending
white
white people say about black men? He's so articulate.
Yeah.
Oh,
he speaks his
Smooth talking.
Not like other black people.
Oh my God, Montana,
You're
settle down
different.
over here.
You're different,
Cow
but
tipper.
the point is
cow over tipper, over cow tipper.
cow fucker.
Oh,
Hey,
Over the line.
I need a footstool for that.
Over the line.
But the point is, like I said, aesthetically, it looked perfect for
but-
Mitt
but-
Romney until he opened his mouth.
yes, sir. But John Kerry too, and that was a Democrat. That
Yeah.
was an empty
Do
suit
you
candidate too.
think
Right.
On the
FDR
other side,
I was an empty
Right.
suit.
Could
the
FDR
Democrats reelected George W. Bush
No,
by
no,
nominating that guy.
no, Jesus did.
I'm John
That's
Kerry.
that's how I know
and
they're.
I'm reporting.
That's
for
how I know they're in
duty.
on
No,
it.
no.
That's how
he's-
I know they're in on it. I know the
It's
Democrats
bullshit.
are in on it and they're
Right,
bought
they're
off.
not. Right.
The Democrats.
They're paid to throw that fight.
Right, the
Right.
Democrats
Exactly.
nominate this empty
Yes.
suit. The Republicans nominate that empty suit.
Right.
It's just talk about a pendulum swinging.
Exactly.
All right, now we'll
Exactly.
take
All right,
over.
so
now
wait,
we'll
wait
take
a
over.
And I got
So-
as soon as I turned 18 and I had the opportunity to vote, and I went from Democrat.
I'm John Kerry.
He was
I went from
honestly-
Democrat to
Setting the
Republican
world on
because
fire.
Howard
I
Dean
had-
was the guy that time, except he
Howard-
yelled.
They crucified him.
Inappropriate.
That was all part of the
Too
plan.
passionate,
Really,
too
a
passionate.
scream. I'm sorry. George Bush did coke, and nobody gave a
Yeah,
rat's
but that
ass.
was unpresidential. Like he all of a sudden he yelled.
He was
My
at a
God.
pep rally.
What
Yeah,
if-
they
what if he
just
does
they
that?
took
Oh,
that
man,
sound
he
clip,
has black
the
tendencies.
powers that be, the international
I don't know that he was
banking
much of a
committee,
candidate either, though.
the media,
He
the
had
overlords of the
fundraising down.
media,
Net fundraising. He had
dark side.
Look,
Doctor Doom, the people that control the media. He
Doom.
screamed. That's all we need.
The thing they
There we
did
go.
was they turned the election
Rupert
into
Murdoch?
American Idol.
Yeah.
It literally was
well,
American
but here's
Idol.
what happened. Okay, first of all,
That's
FDR. I don't know what you
absolutely-
guys
it's
think,
a bullshit
but I look at
popularity
F.
contest.
Yeah, that's what
Call
it
the
was.
800 number.
Yeah.
Joe's talking.
Who do you like?
FDR was in a wheelchair, man. This guy had
Yep.
polio. He was
Mm.
weak. He was frail. Yeah, I know. Breaking news.
He was like the
Yeah.
penguin.
But we would not vote for that guy, no matter what he had coming out
Not
of his
at all.
mouth or between his ears. No chance. Ronald Reagan was an actor.
He looked
He
good.
was an actor. He knew about the
He
package.
strode
We
up to the
all
podium
grew up
like
with
John Wayne. Man, he leaned
an
into his walk
actor
on a horse.
as the president. You know about this, about the presentation.
Oh, I know.
And that's it. Everybody is ruined
Yeah.
since then. They want that feeling of the guy, the actor, the whole thing going up. At the time, they thought, we can't have an actor as the president. Now, everybody has to be an actor
Right.
if they're going to be the president. And you can look at people right now and say, that guy's got no chance. He's too ugly.
Right.
Oh, that guy's got no chance. He's too short.
I don't know. Nixon, Nixon got his chance, and he wasn't much of an actor.
Well,
And
he
this is
lost
post-Kennedy.
He got it by
the
default.
first time
He
because
got
he
it by
was sweating
default.
on TV.
Right.
That's what threw it. Why did Nixon lose? Well, he's sweating
looks
all over
nervous.
TV, man. Look at
Yeah.
that.
By the way, that
he can't
sweat,
handle.
we dodged a bullet with the, oh, no pun intended, but we dodged a bullet with that sweat. I mean, because like that guy, come on.
Did you
that
hear?
guy?
Did you hear the recent
Yeah.
releasing of the tapes at HBO Doc?
I heard the tapes. I've heard the tapes. The man was a lunatic.
He was a toxic, psychotic,
batshit
narcissist.
crazy.
And he was a lackey.
His
for
comments
the Bush
about the
family.
Jews. It's just like this guy's a wingnut, man.
Everybody, the Jews. He went all out on the Jews. There should not be one Jewish person that supports Republican philosophy.
No.
based on
But he opened
Nixon-
China.
Of course.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if you follow.
Thank
Richard
God he
Nixon.
sent every American
There's a
job
Richard-
there.
Follow
There's a
Richard
Richard
Nixon on
Nixon
Twitter?
account on Twitter that is brilliant. It is outrageous. He'll comment in Nixon's voice on contemporary issues, and then sometimes in the middle of the night there'll just be a random tweet. Christ. Like, you would just imagine Nixon wandering the halls of the Oval Office with his hands behind his back going, Christ. You know, like, but you have to,
Wow.
I think it's like Richard_Nixon. I got to look it up. It's hilarious.
The documentary that just came out. I'm
Did I
watching
direct it?
No.
I don't care.
Okay.
I was shocked. I knew that there were tapes. I knew he had said crazy things. I was shocked. And
Oh,
then,
the HBO doc.
Yes.
Amazing.
The
It's
next
amazing.
day, I'm waiting for some sort of commentary on this. They all talked about, hey, it's going to be on. We got the guys who made it. They're on. All right, you told us about it. Okay, I watched it. Now I'm waiting for everyone in the shock and the outrage. Wow, I can't believe this guy talked about the kikes. I can't believe this guy talked about how the Greeks are all
This is
homos.
not the black guy saying this.
No, it's not.
So
It's
I just
not.
want to let everybody
It's
know.
not.
It's okay.
Although I am Italian.
This
and
message was brought to you by
the Moors and everything.
Billy
But
Corben.
Yeah, there's a lot of bitterness there. The Spaniards, 500 years it took us to get rid of the Moors.
They changed
Those
the
weren't black
bloodline
people.
forever.
Those weren't Jack's
There's no
ancestors,
people from
man. Those
Spain
are
in
freaking
Miami.
Arabs.
Bottom line is
They're black, too.
nobody said anything about it. Nobody cared.
Blackish.
Yeah, you know, one of the presidents a while back, he talked about the kikes, and he delayed the end to the Vietnam War, and only like 20,000 sons of America died while he was waiting for the big
those
political
niggers,
story.
they're gonna be on the corner
big
anyway.
That was the
deal.
black guy now who said that.
Nobody. Yeah, I'm not using the N word.
Yeah.
Crazy.
This is a K word, but that was okay.
Yeah.
He was quoting someone else.
Yeah,
I didn't
so
say
it's a
yeah.
direct quote.
the-
I can't change a direct quote.
That was- that's true.
Nixon said the word kikes.
Yeah.
There, I did it.
There you go.
By the way,
Did it-
with impunity, like it was, like he was ordering.
Like there was no
coffee.
other
Yeah.
word
How
for it.
about when Ted Kennedy?
Like that's
No, but even when Nixon says Jews,
Yeah,
it's so
that sounds
ugly.
Yeah.
You might as well be saying
They
that.
don't
It's-
worry
it's
about
like
themselves.
yeah.
How about
the way
Ted
you
Kennedy wants extra security
For?
And because his brothers were just murdered, and he wants it. He's like, you know what? Give it to him, but just till the election, and then if he gets killed, it's his own fault. And then he goes, wait. Let's put a couple of our guys on it, and they'll spy on him and give us information from Ted Kennedy.
They killed the wrong Kennedy again. I don't know that Nixon actually said that, but he should have.
Yeah.
If anybody hasn't seen it, it's a must, because why is no one talking about
amazing.
this? Historical, like, we can't go back and at least address this and say, yeah, that was really bad.
What a hateful,
You know-
racist, anti-Semitic, spiteful man we had.
here's
in the
what
old
you don't
and by the way,
understand.
and he is responsible for the drug war.
Which
this
one?
year.
Yes.
Which one?
He's responsible for the drug war and
Well played.
HMOs and the medical industry for profit.
But he opened
concept.
China.
But you know what you guys don't
Oh,
understand?
goody!
Nixon got things done, and that's what Americans really want. They want someone at the levers
You
that
are
is
so
glass half
efficiently
full.
I'm a
working the
doer.
levers. Look, I know it was evil and horrible, but that guy was effective.
Not only are you glass half full, you don't even care what the glass is half full of.
Yeah, it's
Yo,
spilling over.
I'm gonna drink this. I'm gonna do whatever that.
was pulling the
But, no,
lever.
it's ice cold urine. He has an issue with that.
No, it was
I think
sad.
it might be worse than urine.
No, I meant just so you know. I mean,
The reason that Nixon got things done is because he
I'm a
was
Nixon baby, though, which is
Listen.
crazy. I freaked out.
Nixon is your father?
Nixon. Yes,
I'm your
Look,
I was
father.
born
We're
under
starting all
Nixon.
sorts of horrible rumors.
I thought I had
I
Nixon
know.
cheeks.
Well, then
More-
maybe
yes,
that's
you
how
do.
I got
You were
it.
born under. No, you were not.
Yes.
Listen,
January 73.
Morgan
Nixon was
Freeman
out of
has
office
words
The
to say
early
reason-
about
74.
the
yeah.
reason that
Technically,
Nixon
I'm a
got
Carter
things
baby.
done.
That's why I'm a
Yeah.
functioning illiterate.
Wow.
Yes.
There it is.
And a
The reason
peanut
that he
far-
got
and a
things
part-time
done.
peanut farmer.
The reason that Nixon got things done is because he was evil, and he had evil power behind him, and all of the things that he wanted to accomplish were evil. So it
Did
got
you
done.
notice on
Everybody,
that-
everybody did it.
Did
Everybody
you
went
notice
along with it.
Nixon's daughter was married to Eisenhower's somebody? Like, I
No.
noticed that. I was like, oh, Nixon's daughter's last name is Nixon Eisenhower. And I thought to myself, this guy married his daughter to General Eisenhower's kid somehow, just for purely political purposes. Definitely. It's just the smart play.
That is
for
traditional
vice
marriage, by the way.
presidential
That's the definition of traditional marriage.
Skull and Bones.
Brilliant. One of the
Skull and Bones.
One of the themes in Oliver Stone's Nixon, which I think is one of his best movies.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. And what's so crazy about
Little-
it, of course,
a little
is that-
gay.
Well, yeah, more than JFK is gayer actually that movie, but but Nixon. What's so crazy about it too is that you can't even accuse Oliver Stone of being Oliver Stoney because all of the dialogue was from the tapes that were the transcripts of the tapes that were available at the time.
Uh-huh.
So as crazy and outlandish and racist and psychotic as it is, Nixon said all that shit.
It was purely him.
And John Williams, who scored the movie, there's a theme in the movie that sounds exactly, or not exactly, but very similar to Darth Vader's theme.
I've seen documentaries on
Should I direct them?
It's shot.
No, not interested.
Where they've tried to make Nixon the sympathetic figure. You know, he's the bridesmaid. Yeah, he's the bridesmaid that never gets the chance. And
like Mitt Romney.
Yeah, pretty much.
Get ready.
This generation's of Mitt Romney. It's the thing of where you see this guy as one of the documentaries I saw on Netflix, where he was in fact the lackey for the Bush family. There was, I don't want to misinterpret.
Who,
Please don't say Building 3.
Nazi
no, not Building
sympathizer.
3.
Cray Towers.
But there was a ship for the Bay of Pigs that George Herbert Bush named after Barbara. He was Nixon. He was an underling of some kind. I believe he was a secretary of something of that nature around the 70s before he became president, which is why he stayed within that political circle. Because before then, he was at it for a while. Before then, I think he was up under, I don't want to misquote, J. Edgar Hoover.
Oh, yeah.
I
A bastion
nicknamed
of
my
American,
girlfriend's Merkin Barbara
freedom
Bush.
and patriotism. And you know who ran? And you guys
toupee for a pubic toupee, a merkin.
And you know who ran
It's an
Nixon's
educational
White House.
program.
I'm working that merkin.
The people who ran Nixon's White House were Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld.
Sure.
Right.
It's a
Oh,
club.
think about it.
It's a club. They all wear those tuxedos with the
frightening.
tails
Shorty want a
and drink
thug.
champagne
Bottles in the club.
together.
Do
Bottles
they
in
have
the
a
club.
monocle?
Yeah.
Gotta have a monocle.
Monocle.
Gotta have a-
You're like Mr. Peanut. You're in a can.
This is a crazy show.
I drink mimosas with my molars clenched. It's
having just been a part of it, and I think you need more audio.
Our
Like, that's the
phone's-
one thing I miss. You
our
know,
phone's gonna be
Uncle
tapped.
Neil,
Yeah,
is
George,
more
why
audio.
are
you know what? I offered Joe
Some girl,
Bell.
glass half empty.
You know the box, the magic
I go
box
back-
that had all the audio.
I'll drop the hammer when I
The
have
magic
to.
box that had all the audio. I
This has been
offered
an
Joe Bell.
anti-George, deport George Rodriguez pack. This has been
do
paid
it.
for.
I offered $3,500 retail.
Libby Montana
the
to fuck
the 360, the machine with all the audio.
Yes.
I offered him
On the step stool.
retail for it, $3,500. He said no.
No, well, he doesn't
For
want
the
you
magical
to be,
box.
Well, how long
so
ago
now
was
I have
that?
to get an iPad. That was 5 years ago.
Yeah. Then in the
You know.
DCS, where's that?
We have all the audio. I don't have a thing
To easily
a delivery
access, yeah.
I'm gonna get an
Isn't
iPad.
there a net
You know,
program?
an easy delivery system like the cart machine. Remember how
Right.
convenient that was? How technologically
The
advanced
studio was set
that
up for
was?
it.
I'll never. The first time I ever did radio, I went in and there was this.
But it's all in here. We
There
have
was
it.
this
Where was this?
shelf. This was 790.
Before it was the ticket?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
pre the ticket. And there was a
Waxy.
There was a waxy 790. Yeah. So and there was like this metal rack that spun, and it had all these cartridges, plastic
Yep.
cartridges
That's us.
in them. And that was right around the time they were moving away from that. So they still had this kind of relic around the office, around the studio. And I was like, "What's that?" They're like, "Those are carts." I'm like, "That's how they do that." And at that moment, like my respectometer for George, who I didn't know personally at the time, went way the hell up because I was like, "This is how this works."
Yeah.
Like it's incredible that
Yeah.
everything functioned as smoothly and as slickly and
With a big ol'
professionally
8-track
as it
tape.
did. Amazing.
And if you
And
didn't
Neil-
let that thing queue up, you
before
would be
we had
killed by
before
the
we
next
had the
producer.
computer, Neil personally had 4 out of the 6 of the cart racks that were in the studio. These towers, 500 carts apiece, and someone could call up and reference like Larry King, like the loan me $50. Let me see if I can.
Only $50.
Yeah, but look how long it's taking George to dial it up right now,
Exactly.
and that would just be like ready to go. But
Pathetic.
Well, because here's what Neil would do. Someone would call up and go,
Loan me $50.
I was listening to Larry King the other day, And
This has been brought to you by George Rodriguez.
As soon as they said Larry King, because Neil, he would grab whatever rack it was, spin it. They would be spinning around faster than you could possibly see it. He would grab the cart as it went by, put it in the machine, holding it upside down because the button was on the right-hand side of the cart. So he would hold the cart upside down, put it in the machine, and press the button all in one fell swoop, and you'd hear
Loan me $50.
Like
that's some Jedi shit.
Yeah,
right?
It really is.
It took a total of 2 seconds. So I was listening to Larry King the other night, and he said, and Neil, and
Loan me $50.
and like,
You know what? Listen to these.
watch him
stories.
do it. It was amazing.
I'm
Yeah.
underscoring this.
Yeah,
because you don't have the music cued.
Is that
I
what
could
it
do
is?
this. I could play the Star Wars music.
I could listen to.
And then the
The
DCS.
Force theme, you're not
He
gonna
was the
Force
first
theme
person to learn how to use the computer. People think Neil was old and not tech savvy. He was as
No,
tech-
he was just gay.
He was as right. As
You know, I love
as
I
tech
love, I
savvy
love
as
the
he
fact
needed
that
to
The
be.
gay guy said that.
Yeah.
No, wait, hang
Wait,
on.
wait,
Hang
hold
on,
on,
wait,
hold on,
what?
hold on.
Wait,
I know
I'm
you
gonna
have a
sue me.
girlfriend.
I'm gonna sue me for saying that.
Hold on,
as long
bro.
as you're healthy.
Bro.
Hold on, bro, like for serious, bro, like for
Billy
true.
Corben,
Don't
before-
talk shit like that, bro. Like
before-
don't do it. I speak fluent West Kendall, bro.
Kendall, bro.
That's right. Billy
Like
is
whatever,
Mr.
bro, like for
Billy's
truth.
Mr. Miami. Before you leave, 2 things for you. First of all,
Pitbull was, now he's Mr. Worldwide.
Consider a radio
Worldwide.
show since you're
I'm
so
Mr. 786
newsy.
now.
Yeah, I know. Ew.
Newsy.
Ew, 786. Ew, can't you buy a 305 from someone?
Dude, 786 is
Yeah,
hot
seriously.
right now. Everybody likes it. You
Yeah.
can't, they're getting
It's so
taxed.
in,
You
bro.
can't do the
786.
Pitbull. You can't.
305,
not.
yes, they are.
How can you?
786 is
You
not.
can't- how do you do
786 is
this?
not a place. It's an extra area code because there's too
can't
many
even-
of us here.
It's a mindset.
How do you do this? How do you post for
That's what it
pictures
is.
like this? How do you represent?
Yeah, how do you do 7? How do you
with
do
786.
shit.
Even with
Careful.
sign language,
Gang
you can't do
signs.
it.
That's right. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
It's on 954 and I
They
can
live
find
here
it.
Taser
now.
George,
Yeah.
please.
I'm going to put you on the spot two different ways, Billy Corben, while you're on the show before we leave here. First of all, consider a radio show because you're a very verbose and loquacious person I know, and you're Mr. Miami and you're Mr. News.
Boy, those are polite ways of saying Jewish.
I didn't even know.
Aren't they?
I mean, no, it's polite ways of saying you
You could've
talk.
said
Funny,
Miami
she doesn't
Beach.
look
You
Jewish.
gotta talk.
See, Neil would have had that cart ready to
You
go.
got
His
to
Facebook
talk.
card.
Pathetic.
Which cart?
Funny, she doesn't look Jewish. You never had that. I just...
But you talk good. Okay.
That's not. That's
that's
not
so
what the
eloquent,
best
George.
thing
But
about
listen,
Billy
and you
is.
and you
eloquent.
have,
to
you
talk
have
good
the breaking
anymore.
news, so you've got your finger on the pulse of a lot of things
he's
that's going on. So I
passionate.
think
He's
that,
got a
that an
passion
internet
that
radio show
he's bringing it.
is something that I would like to talk to you about. First of all, second
Insert
of all,
plug right here.
I just
I'm
want to point
begging
out
you.
you're losing all your leverage by doing this on the air. Just I'm
No,
not counseling you. I
Let's
just
just negotiate.
because
Listen,
this is
but
the
George
show.
is all about transparency.
I don't.
right? So we're
Right.
gonna
I'm all about
negotiate
transparency, and I'm a
Apparently.
lousy businessman, but I'm a good radio guy.
Insert your plug right
and oh, by
here.
the way, you have 5 minutes to do.
Me do
Begin.
good show. First of all, consider an internet radio show here in these fancy digs. Just consider it. We'll talk about the
I actually
details
love your
later.
studio. I really do.
Because-
I love this
Thank you,
location.
and it gets better
At night,
because, especially at night. This is a wonderful.
George could get in a lot of trouble in this.
The black people come
He's
out.
failing totally.
This
I'll
is
share
a
you
wonderful.
later.
This is
I'll
a
share with you
wonderful
later.
I'm usually
block.
here.
This is a wonderful area. Second of
Whoa,
all,
whoa, whoa, whoa.
please.
Oh, block. A wonderful block.
Block, not black.
Sorry,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry.
Jack's a wonderful
Blech.
black, but then we're on a wonderful block. Second of all, you have to invite me to piano karaoke at least one more time because I'm going to bring somebody that
It's
I want.
closed. It's over.
Oh,
It's the end of an era, but we might have to
Wow.
revive. We might have to revive. Last night, I went to Sing Sing.
I don't
which
know
is
where that is.
It's a karaoke bar on Washington
Billy-
Avenue, South Beach. And guess who I ran into? Carlos Danger himself, Anthony Weiner, was
No
there in
way.
South
No
Beach.
way.
So I have a hang on.
Oh
I got a
my
picture.
God.
Go to my Twitter
Selfie
at
with
Billy
Anthony
Corben,
Weiner.
Corben.
You see?
His penis was out.
At Billy Corben, it was Billy and Carlos Danger. I
Look
dubbed
at
it
that.
right
Look
in
how
the-
famous.
What?
What?
Carlos
See, 'cause
Danger.
I'm a political junkie before I'm a sports fan. So when I see Carlos Danger
was his
singing
wife with him?
karaoke, yeah, no.
Was it a side piece
He
with
was a
him?
very nice guy, though. I wasn't really drinking very much, if at all, and seemed to be having a great. He was in private room karaoke. We were outside at the bar, and I happened to spot him, and I'm like, "It's." By the way, the worst thing anybody could possibly say to you, I think, while you're trying to make a quick exit from a private room karaoke bar, is,
What's that?
"Congressman, can I get a picture, please?" And he was very sweet. He was very nice. He said, "Absolutely, my pleasure," and we snapped it.
See,
and he
you
took
called
off.
him by his title. You gave him the due respect.
Now, here's the thing. We were just having that debate. Is it the last office you held? Is it the highest office you held? Because he's not a congressman anymore. He ran for mayor. Mayor of New York, arguably, would be a step down, right, from a national
That's
office.
very
but
Jewish of him. He was on Miami
opinion,
Beach.
my
so
opinion.
anti-Semitic.
I'm just saying. Just saying.
It's a nice block.
Do you not
Yeah.
know where
You're a
in
nice
Hollywood?
block.
Nice black.
I think it is the highest office you've ever held.
By the way,
that's just an opinion,
right? Because if the president of the United States became a governor, which is it could happen, you wouldn't call him governor, you'd call him Mr. But
I think it actually has.
Would you call him Mr. President while he was governor? No, but after he was the governor, you would call him Mr. President. George, I want you to know that I had 3 days filling in for Rick Sanchez on the Rick Sanchez show. He really didn't have a choice on his co-host because I'm one of the Jews that controls the media. So
that was better than this, George, is what he's about to say.
No, not true at all. This is great because like when you got 4 people, you don't have to do the heavy lifting, which is great. But when you're, like I said, filling that dead air between commercials by yourself, it's terribly, terribly stressful. But I wanted to ensure that I would never get invited back again. To the show. So,
by having me on.
So I did 2 things. First, I left gay marriage for my last hour, which is the more conservative hour.
Right.
Then I had George as my last
That
guest,
was the very last, right.
Which was basically
I was the period.
You said some crazy shit, some cray shit, too.
I
about,
did.
Like, IOD and everything.
Well, I had to because the Neil audience is always looking at me to make sure that I'm holding the standard or maintaining
hoping one day
the
you will
standard.
truly
and I can't
emerge
be on Rick's
as well.
own show without referencing the dead guy.
Once hoped for you.
You'll fulfill the promise that we've all had. But so
the chosen one.
So I told the guys in the booth. There's 3 guys in the booth. I said, listen. My sign off is going to ensure, if anybody's listening, that I will never be invited back to the show again. And so, because we played Rick Sanchez Sings, from the Neil show. We did some crazy stuff, and I actually interviewed George about how they got it. We never got a straight answer, obviously, how they got that audio. But anyway, my sign off on the 3rd and final day of the Rick Sanchez show, I was like, and I was looking right at the guys in the booth to see their reaction. I said, well, folks, this week is just blown by. It's been great being here with you. I hate to hit and run, but this is the Rick Sanchez show. I'm Billy Corben.
Oh my God!
Their jaws. By the way, all I heard was 3 jaws hit the board in the control room.
That's great.
Just 3 jaws hit the board in the control room.
Next up, he's doing the DJ last show.
We got the out music going on.
Pimp with a limp.
We got to go. The recorder.
He's my designated driver.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. We got to get out of here. Got the Darth Vader theme to take us out the rest of the way. And coming up next is the She Place. She's only rock and roll. Gnarly Charlie's Totally Awesome Retro Party at 4. The Spot is not going to be on because we got the Strikers game.
Right.
Coming
that
up
wasn't a racial joke, by the way.
At 7 o'clock tonight. It's not Jack the Spot. Coming up at 7 o'clock tonight. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit this ID myself. Look at that.
Broadcasting from the heart of downtown Hollywood. This is SoFloRadio.com.